Welcome to Full Throttle Talk, the podcast where horsepower meets conversation. From supercars to classic legends, high revving tech to motorsport mayhem, we cover it all. Straight from the driver's seat, whether you're a gearhead or racer or just love the thrill of the open road, you're in the right place. Buckle up, hit the gas, and let's go full throttle into today's episode.
Went to make the car, the length that they went to make the car special, I thought was pretty cool. And I think the reason that people don't like them is because it's the most Corvette ever. The engine doesn't sound like a Corvette at all. It sounds very exotic, almost, very different. And I think that really is why people don't get it.
Well, it's
But I
kind of
thought
like
it was
kind of like the
interesting.
Mustang SVO. When they took the Mustang, they pulled the 5 liter out and they put a turbo 4 that was actually faster. But that was very like European Cosworth,
Yeah, same as
Sierra.
718 Cayman versus
Yeah.
when they put the turbocharged motors in versus the flat six ones. So
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to talk about something crazy today as soon as we officially start the show. That new Rouge flat V8 thing, that
Is it
dude.
Rouge or is it Runge?
I don't know. You go with it. You're the one that knows the dude. Is it
I
Runge
met
or
him. Is it the same guy in
It
Minnesota
is. It is.
who like hand hammered it? He's such a nice guy, and he's so like literally when I was talking in the notes, he's like the Bob Ross of auto building. He makes it sound like you could grab an English wheel and a chunk of aluminum and make something no problem. Like, hey kids, it's really easy. Just get some milled aluminum. I like T7324 and just a happy accident.
that's
Have you seen
different than
those, Bob?
Spectre. That's different than Spectre Porsche, right? Or
No,
Spectre.
Casey,
Is that the same thing?
I put it in the WhatsApp. You should read about this flat eight. You'd think it was badass. I'm sure you
Yeah,
would.
I saw the release. I didn't get too deep into it though.
It's
I
crazy.
figured you would enlighten me today and you could see the surprise on my face. So no, I'm all about it.
But as we diverge from the Corvette, the problem I just had, and I like the motor, and I love like the romance of the ZR1 is such a cool story, and it's so innovative, and what Jason explained was great. But what I had a problem with is just I know they try to make it for everyone, but the build quality is such garbage. It's so it's like they continued the American mid 70s malaise era and just said, all right, we're gonna build this. They spent all the money hiring, is it Yamaha or Mercury? Yamaha, right?
Paul, but
I
that's
think
like an
Mercury.
ancient car
Well,
now.
well,
I know, but it
Lotus.
was shitty
Yeah.
new. It
Yeah,
was
but that shitty new 30 years ago. I mean, kind of have a hall pass. I mean, what were you doing 30 years ago? You
I
had
mean,
some rough
even
edges.
I had an Acura Integra and the build quality was far better than that.
Yeah.
And
I
it
mean,
and it
I
was
guess you could look at my 964 versus this thing. But
and
what
that's
would be awesome, and I was talking to my tech the other day when we were working on these things, is I said, it'd be really great because so many of these are mothballed, right? So many of these have no miles on them. Like the one that I'm listing has 4,000 miles on it, right? Don't you wish they did that to 964s so we could have a whole bunch of 964s now with no miles on them? Just that brand new car experience. I was talking to Trevor the other day, and he was talking about Zuckerman's recent acquisition, the 964 Targa with like 4,000 kilometers on it. Like, what an amazing thing to be able to experience that car as if it were new.
Would you drive it though? I mean, I see cars like that come up and they always sell for like a 50% at least premium. And what would you do with that if you had it?
I drive cars with no miles on them all the time,
Well, but I
so they
mean,
don't blow up.
yeah,
you wouldn't take it on a rally like I do.
no.
No, I mean,
You
it's
drive the
probably all
cars around.
relative though. If you had $1 zillion and it was you like that brand new like time traveling experience, maybe you would. I think
Yeah.
it's all relative.
I obviously, I mean, the more money you have, hypothetically, the less you care. But the irony of it is in order to have a lot of money, you had to have really cared about the money. And generally speaking, you don't wash that out of your hair over time. So, hey, Dave, we're already recording, by the way. And Paul, yes, I just did say it. So, welcome to Full Throttle Talk. And this is your favorite weekly podcast. And we've got a really great show for all of you today. We're really drilling down on a lot of fun topics. What did you do in cars this week? Automotive news. And this is a pickup on Chris Harrison Friends podcast. What's the difference between a supercar and a sports car? So I thought that. I really do believe that's going to be a great topic. And we're having fun with the ultimate Porsche 992 911 build off with a maximum budget of 225, but you couldn't have just hit the easy button and gone poverty spec 911T. So we had a lot of really fun builds. Why 225? Because 230 is the start of the GT3, which obviously we don't want to make it too easy on these guys when they're doing their ultimate build offs. Building the perfect three Porsche car collection. That's going to be fun. We're doing this or that, where you decide between two cars that these guys are watching at auction. And then we've got a lot of listener questions. But before we get to the first topic, I believe that we have, well, we do. We have a new announcement. So our newsletter is finally done, and it is called Full Throttle Talk. And here's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be giving away these beautiful Full Throttle Talk stickers to everyone who subscribes to the newsletter. And all of you, thank you, Paul. And all you've got to do is go to fullthrottletalk.com or click the link below in the show description. Now, here's what this newsletter is. It's obviously the show. It's obviously the notes from the show. But each of these guys, assuming they remember to do it and have time to do it, are going to be creating unique content. And they're going to be sending, it's also going to be part of the newsletter. Market trends, some of the cool cars these guys have for sale, Casey's stories about some of the things that he experiences with these ultra rare cars, things like that. The newsletter is going to be where our community really gels. So and it's free. So subscribe to the newsletter. And again, it's Full Throttle Talk. 100% free, takes 2 seconds. All you got to do is drop your email address in and you're off to the races. All right, so guys, let's jump into the first question. What did you do in cars this week?
All right. Do you want me to go first? I'll go first.
Sure. Go ahead.
I went on a rally, my first rally since surgery. It was a blast. I didn't get to do it. This is a group of us at the Roosevelt Bridge and Dam. And you can see in the upper right corner, probably the prettiest car of the show was a Maserati Bora, followed by this beautiful E-Type. There's a cool Datsun. It's a group of guys and gals. There's probably about 30 of us that go on this rally. And I was obviously in our rental Turo Macan, which actually performed flawlessly. With me and my dad and all our crap, 5,000 pounds and 250 horsepower, 4-cylinder. And honestly, I could keep up with a 3.8 in a G body. So it's amazing.
They're great cars. They're awesome cars.
For 3 days of it, we got to experience this. Like the heaviest rain. This is outside of Morenci, the largest copper mine. Look at the river going through that we're driving through. And that was mild. It got to a point where it was crossing the entire road in about hub depth. But everyone was wishing they were in my Macan, but everyone came through like a champ. I mean, look at the rocks we had to cross in the road.
Wow.
That's incredible.
And this is my
wild.
favorite shot that one of the people on the show took. Look at that. The
Wow.
Maserati Bora climbing through the rocks. I mean, it was treacherous. Look at that Lancia Delta kind of tiptoeing through GTV. There's the E-Type. There was like a late 70s Trans Am. Our friends Jay and his dad John, we called them Deer Hunter because they hit a deer with their E36. The normal, if you've been on rallies, the normal roadside fix. But probably one of the coolest things was we went to lunch, and one of our friends, he was owned a company in the 80s and 90s that made video games, and we had lunch with Ivan Stewart right there. Ivan, the Ironman Stewart, he's got 4 Baja 5000 championship wins, over 88 wins off road. I mean, So here's the best part is my dad says, I talked to our friend John, who knows Ivan, and he goes, John said today at lunch, he's got a special guest. It's some famous race car driver named Ian. And I was like, you know how it is, Dave, you go on a rally, if you get separated from the group, you'll never catch up. And I'm like, we had this cool restaurant we were going to go to. This was in Flagstaff. but he really wanted to go to this sort of college town bar pub that I just hate pub food. And I was like, I don't know. I go, oh, okay. And then we get there and I'm like, Dad, how do you not know Ivan, Ivan Ironman Stewart. So basically, he had developed that game, the famous arcade game with the three wheels, nitrous. I mean,
Love
if
it.
you grew,
Love
yeah,
it.
and him and Ivan became friends. If you go to my Instagram, he got Ivan to drive his Dakar. He took a 911 Dakar on the rally, and Ivan had never been in a modern Porsche, like in 30 years. And if you watch it, he is just giddy with the power, and he's off camera. He's asking like, "This can really go off road?" He's like, "Well, not like what you do with your truck, but anyway." It felt good to be back in the saddle, back driving.
Paul, why don't we
Yep.
mention, because not everyone knows your what you've dealt with this year. So without going into any more detail than you feel necessary, why don't you let them know? Because really, when we started the podcast earlier this year, you had no real health issues, and then boom, you got hit with a
Yeah.
sledgehammer. So let them know about it. I think it'll inspire folks, honestly,
Sure.
that have their
Okay.
own challenges.
Yeah, we all have crap. In May, right after Luft Air Water, found out a surprise that I had bone cancer, a large tumor in my pelvis on the left side. July 29th, 12-hour surgery, basically cut out about a third of my pelvis and my hip and my femur. Basically amputated my leg from the inside and then put all new 3D printed titanium parts, stainless steel screws. One doctor said he didn't think I'd ever drive a 911, let alone a manual. The doctor I went to at UCLA, Dr. Bernthal, he's the actor John Bernthal's brother. It's a long story there, but now we're 12 weeks out of the surgery. I was in the hospital for 6 weeks. I got to go on my first rally, albeit in a Macan. Yesterday, I got to sit in my 928. I'm taking that to Radwood.
Nice.
I yesterday officially no longer a fall risk. Cut off I passed this test. I can actually walk, although it looks a little bit like the Monster Mash. You just kind of,
Well, but Paul, they told you straight up, like you might not walk again, let alone drive a car again,
yeah,
and you said screw you. Not only that, I'm going to go. And your whole goal, which this is the inspiring part. First of all, you're completely cancer free,
cancer free.
and you're
Yep.
completely on the mend, and you had world record breaking, recovery. But your motivation was to get back under rallying. That's the reason this is such a spectacular story, is because you
Yeah.
actually accomplished your freaking goal, brother.
Yeah, no, it was. This particular rally with a good friend and the right people, I just had to do it. And it's weird. And Tim, you're a big believer. This, like, it's hard to explain, but I knew it would happen. Like, I didn't know how it would happen. I just knew it would happen. And it wasn't until Monday, we left on Friday. It wasn't until the Monday before we left that the doctor finally gave the approval, and he kept calling it a race. And I'm like, no, we're on public streets. But my dad went with me, and I drove 95% of the time, and it felt normal. And I'm excited that I can walk. Next week, we're going to start working on getting into 911, or actually, we'll start with my BMW 1600.
You're ready for a Corvette with an automatic transmission. Clearly, that's where this conversation is going. And we're going to talk
Well,
about
the
that.
928, the 928, how the hell was getting in and out of that? That is not an easy car to get in
No,
and
it's
out of.
surprising. We were doing that yesterday with my
Big
physical
doors.
therapist. You
Yeah.
nailed it. It's got big doors. It's a really wide openings, and I have this cool little thing you put in the B pillar. When you open a door, there's like a metal hook, and it's this handle you put in there. So you got an extra handle, and then I have this thing where I hold my leg and pull it in. But believe it or not, the 928 was the easiest to get in. The because and this is the hard part. I need to test drive these cars. I have clients asking me, how does it drive? So for instance, this car is going to go live later today on our website. And it's got these Corbo buckets that don't articulate. They're just a fixed bucket. Thankfully, they slide back with harnesses. It took me almost 5 minutes yesterday to get in the car as a passenger so my dad could drive it and I could just, see. I give him instructions, go into first gear, do this, do that. But I'm anxious to start driving just to tell people like this is what the car is. But so that was a really hard car. I can get in a 911. I've done now. This is the second 911. I just haven't driven them yet. So
Well,
Which leg is impacted, Paul? Is it right or left?
left.
left leg, left leg.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's why your clutch problem. I got it.
Yeah.
And
For now.
actually, I can put 100% of the weight on it. From a technical standpoint, I can handle it. I just can't. My muscles aren't there. It's still numb. It's kind of like you sort of think, move. Like if you're sitting in your chair right now, lift your your leg up like a march. I could do that with my right leg. My left leg literally feels glued to the ground. So it's baby steps.
Well, we're all cheering for you, and it was really
Thank you.
remarkable to see all your friends, especially in California, rally around you. It was very inspiring. A lot of you guys listen to the podcast and watch us on YouTube, so our boy here is on the mend. So go, Paul. All right,
Thank you.
Dave, you are next. What did you do in cars this week?
Well, we've had a busy week, of course. It seems like forever since we've been all together here, but the car behind me was one that we delivered after a 2-year restoration. This is a 911, excuse me, a 356B coupe. The backstory on this car, which is so great, is that this couple, the Jollies, lovely, lovely couple. Mr. Jolly just turned 80 years old, just turned, and he bought this car used in 1969. And then drove it for a few years into the 80s, and then it went into disrepair and sat in a barn or a warehouse or garage somewhere for many, many years. We took it to another shop somewhere in South Carolina a few years ago, and it just kind of languished there. Ultimately, they pulled it and brought it to us. And over the then following 2 years, we have fully restored the car and we delivered it to them this last Friday, which was just a great. They were just so lovely, such lovely people. They were just so excited, hugging one another. They just such a nice couple. So that was great. It was a really great experience, and they're going to take it to their church and show everybody, and just really enjoy these folks.
Dave, can I actually help you, though you don't need my help finding more clients? Because I actually saw that car when we were at your shop in our
Yeah.
Hillbilly car tour, and it was really spectacular. And the story you are being a gentleman not sharing is essentially the disrepair that the car was in when you got it from the air quoting other shop, right? But what really surprised me was and you talk about this if you want to, but the amount of money that they paid for your shop to restore that. And I remember when you told me, I knew for a fact it was half, if not more than half of what a California shop would take. And you got it done in, at least twice as fast. You got it done as effectively in 24 months, where most shops have a 24-month wait list before you even get in California, and they charge twice as much. So I don't know if there's much more for you to say, but that's kind of the whole
Oh, no,
story.
thank you. I appreciate the ad there, Tim. That's great. I'll,
True.
I'll make sure I write a check to Full Throttle Talk here now. No, it was a really great experience, and these guys were just so wonderful. It was a pretty rough car. It was missing a lot of stuff, as you imagine. And when they sit around for as many years as they do, sometimes things just kind of walk away, disappear. So we had to find a bunch of parts for this car to get it back on the road. But it was a bucket list item. That's what Mr. Jolly suggested, a bucket list to get this car on the road while he could still drive it.
Yeah, and
I
it was
mean,
spectacular. Honestly, it was beautiful.
great name for owners of that car.
Right.
Exactly.
Can
The
you imagine
Jollies.
being a jerk with the last name of Jolly?
I know they call up and like, oh, you're asking a lot, but I can't say no.
No,
Exactly.
they were just sweet though, really nice.
Casey, how about you? What'd you do in cars this week?
It's been a little bit quiet as far as really interesting stuff that's occurred. Lots of life and family stuff has been occurring recently, but I did have two interesting opportunities that I wanted to share. We were talking a little bit about this before the podcast, but we always joke about the ZR1, and I have a client that has one, and that I am working on putting together a listing for him. And I've never experienced a C4 ZR1 before. And I watched the Jason Camisa video. I thought it was really interesting and kind of preparation for this. And while it has, traditional of the era GM build quality, the engine in the car is really interesting. It's not something that I've experienced in a modern car, and I can see why people might be slightly put off because it doesn't feel or sound like a Corvette. It honestly feels and sounds a lot more exotic than the traditional burbly sound of Corvettes that people are used to. And I thought it was really interesting. It's the car is red over red with just over 4,000 miles, and it's a cool experience. And I'm hoping that I can find a good home for it.
Hey,
And the other thing, yes, sir.
Casey, so not everyone's going to know about the coolness of that motor. So that had a Yamaha quad cam, 32 valve, crazy ass, all this, right? I mean, am I remember
Yeah,
correctly?
so it was, if I'm not mistaken, the technology and engine was licensed from Lotus,
Huh.
and then it was built by Mercury. If I'm not mistaken, for GM, it was not built by GM. And I know that if you watch the Jason Camisa video, a lot of the apprehension came from the people that built Corvettes because they didn't feel that involved in the production of this car because it had such a different drivetrain in it from what they were used to, and was the ultimate motivator for them to begin building the LS block. So it's
Interesting.
a, it's it's a really interesting. The Jason Camisa video is fantastic, and definitely would recommend watching it. It gave me a whole lot of knowledge about the car and how it worked. But it was interesting. It was really felt like being that it's such a low mile car. It felt really like being transported in time. There was a GM soundtrack in between the seats that had Eddie Money and all kinds of really cool stuff that came with the car initially. And then the other thing that I did, there's a new movie out called One of One,
Oh yeah.
which is available on streaming services. A number of people have told me about this. Trevor from Pare Pare mentioned it on the podcast, and I said, heck, I'll give it a go. And I watched it, and I followed NATO Engineering for a while on social media. But it was really cool to see the story of how this company came together. And it's 100% a recommendation that I would have for anybody that wants to be inspired. The 907 or 908 or whatever that thing was in the video with that flat eight was about as cool as it got. There was this one shot down low of the car coming through cherry blossoms, and it could have that shot alone should have won an award. But it was a really cool story of a family in Tokyo that works on some of the most insane cars, including their own collection, which included 250, Ferrari 250 LM, the aforementioned, plastic Porsche. They had a 911R as well. They were working on a bunch of 964s, including I think it was a Ruby Star RS Club Sport, which was awesome. Really, really cool stuff. Sorry, Ruby Stone. But yeah, really amazing movie. 100% would recommend.
So
Wasn't it?
what's the name of that movie again so everyone can watch it?
One
'Cause
one of one. I rented it on Apple. I think it was like 4.99.
it
Yeah,
was. I've watched it twice. Love it.
so the
100%.
thing.
So fun.
I mean, the OCD part, if you're OCD, doesn't it kind of just drive you nuts? Like, it just seems like buckets of parts laying around everywhere.
It
It's
was
not this
nuts.
like sterile, you'd picture like a sterile environment with things color coded and laid out really pretty. It just seems like they're sitting on paint cans, reaching around in between the cracks of the concrete and dirt. They grab a bolt and they're like,
All right.
that'll work. That'll do. I mean, and there's like a nursery school next door, and they're doing work outside, and it rains, and they go in. I don't know. I mean,
Never want to watch the sausage being made. That's all I can say. And
no, and
I can
it's
say that
like
from this side too.
someone going into the bathroom in a kitchen, and then you go in after him, and like, there's no way to wash your hands. What the hell? It's just that was the only part, but lovely story.
Yeah, it was great.
Have you ever been to a shop other than where they make new Porsches, for example, or any new cars that's as you described? Because every single shop I've ever been to reminds me of the one in that one-on-one movie. Where have you been that's so meticulously
Well,
clean?
like when you go to Canepa or some of these high-end builders that are working on
True.
LM cars. Yes, I've been to shops that are just working on just your regular 911 and they look like greasy spoon diners, and that's fine. But like I don't know if I've ever been to a shop with like an F40 and then it looked like it was sitting in the back of a Jiffy Lube. I mean,
with
it just,
boxes on it. I mean,
yeah.
You know,
you
that's
guys
a
got to
pretty
watch the
clean shop
movie.
right there, guys. Just for the
Yeah.
record, that's not a bad shop, you
No,
know.
that is, but that's what, for the kind of work you do, that's what you expect. And that was the weird thing is they've been around for like a century, and you would think somewhere down the line they would go, we ought to clean this place up a little bit.
Come back in a century
Nah.
and we'll let you know how this is held up.
How would you
Yeah.
decide what to throw out, right? I mean, you're going to be, by the way, did you notice how many, Casey, how many old classic minis? They had classic minis freaking everywhere. They let them have them in the rafters. They had them sitting everywhere. It's like the mini was the backdrop to every scene.
But and if you went to, they showed a scene with the person who's in charge now, got it from his father, who took the business, and his story about how he grew the business is insane. But what they showed is like he's wealthy. They showed his a little peek of his lifestyle, like in Tokyo. Like he doesn't live above his shop like they used to. He's got like this beautiful place, and it's so funny this sort of split where he lived. He's like slumming at the shop, and then he lives this like very clean Tokyo minimalist, elegant lifestyle. And I just thought, like, wouldn't that creep over to cleaning up your crap?
Well, in any event, great movie. So what I did in cars this week is we took our 93 Miata out onto some of these great, amazing driving roads around Tail of the Dragon, and it completely brought me back to when my wife and I were first married. And we've been married for 34 years, and we had a maritime blue Miata, and we drove that thing from Ohio out to Seattle and back and toured all the way through the West. And if you really want a test of a marriage, take a Miata on a long drive. And anyway, so that's what we did. So it was wonderful. And though Paul did suggest also, I need to share with everyone that I did reunite with my love of Barry White soundtracks, according to Paul's snarky notes in our spreadsheet. Moving on. Oh yeah, there you go. Oh, all right. Paul, you want to do what are we wearing on for watches today?
Oh, sure. I wonder if this will come through. This is a late 60s, early 70s Bulova Accutron astronaut. And at the time, they're battery operated, but they're not quartz, they're electric. They use a tuning fork to keep time. And in the 60s, this was the most accurate way to do time. And in fact, one of these is on the Hubble telescope because from when they launched it. I don't know if you can hear this. Can you hear it?
Mm-mm.
When you put it to your ear, it's like you ever taken a musical tuning fork and you
Yep.
hit it and it's literally that. It's a little miniature tuning fork. So it just goes meh. And the funny thing is I have a cat, and when I have this sitting like next to my desk, it does not like it. It just sort of gets to it and freaks out because it makes a weird tune. But and surprisingly, it's right now 26 after, and it's a 24-hour clock, and it's I have not set this thing in a long time.
Who works on that?
There's a little European watch repair place. All he's had to do is put a battery in, and
Wow.
he said that when it no longer needs a battery, it needs more. I'm out of luck. So, but the battery, he has to get this battery that doesn't, it was made for a different kind of battery they don't make anymore. So he takes this like normal little watch battery and has to like shave it down to get it to fit. It's a pain. I have two of these, pain in the ass, but when I wear it, I'm the only guy in the room wearing one.
There you go. Dave, are you? What's your watch game today?
I am packing today. Yes, I am wearing a. Oops, hang on a second. Let's see if I can get this.
Oh, good choice. I'm in love
I'm
with that.
wearing my. Oh, this there. There we go. It's my Seiko Pogue, kind of a middle 70s watch. I think in this particular case. Sorry, it's not coming through very well here. There we go. I'll try to hold it like that. Made famous by Commander Pogue, who wore it on these on Skylab, I believe, and was supposed to be wearing his Speedmaster, but instead brought this watch up. I think he had one on each arm, is the way the story goes.
Is that a
Yep.
quartz
And this
watch?
was
Is that a
No.
quartz?
no, it's an automatic.
Is it really? Wow, that is
Yeah,
beautiful. So how old is that?
yeah. It's middle 70s. I don't know the exact date. These were issued right around that, obviously during that whole Skylab period. I'm
Uh,
not
uh,
sure. I bought this from a
I
friend of
mean,
mine. Didn't really get any backstory with it.
to get nerdy on those watches, what was really cool was the watch industry, their big 4 minute mile to break the 4 minute mile in the late 60s was who could come up with a chronograph that was an automatic movement, which sounds like no big deal, but in the late 60s, they couldn't figure out how to do that. And it got to a point where literally like Omega and Zenith, paired up, and Hoyer and some other company, they had to actually pair up to try to do it. And they're racing to do it. And the best part, and very Seiko, in the background, Seiko figures it out. They don't tell anyone. They don't really care. They're just like, oh yeah, we'll make an automatic chronograph. And people like Commander Pogue, this was a better watch. You could keep logarithmic scales. You could do calculations with it. So a lot of astronauts and people in that industry were wearing those, and they were mad because you had to wear. And like you said, he had two. If you look at pictures, he had two watches on his arms. The one that he had to wear for, the sponsorship, and the other one that actually did work that he wanted. Great watch, awesome.
Let's
That's
hope they
cool.
both worked, but yes, but he did wear this, and this comes in a couple different face colors as well. It's a cool watch though. They're very cool. When you wire one, people want to know what it is. So it's a nice watch.
Yeah, it's pretty too. Very
Thank you.
attractive. Casey, how about you? You are we
Just
watching it
just
today?
just the Apple Watch today, guys. Nothing exciting.
Well, that works. And GMT. So I think they call this one
Very
the
nice.
Batman.
Oh,
Yeah.
little
Is that
Batman.
the is
There
that
you
the
go.
is that like is that the what they call the Pepsi?
No, Batman.
Oh, that's a Batman.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Okay. I
Yeah, that's
love I
very nice.
love I've been craving a Rolex. I'm not a Rolex guy, but I've been craving an older Rolex Explorer. I think those are just neat. I like kind of the simple looking watches.
Rolexes are
I've got a
definitely
guy who can hook you up with that, Paul. I've got a guy.
I
everyone's got a
seem to have a
watch
lot of
guy.
guys.
Yeah, everyone's got a watch guy. It's like back in the 70s or the 80s, everyone had like a friend that,
I'll buy a watch.
could hook you up. Exactly. All right, so moving on. Um, let's see. Okay, got it. So Paul, I believe Paul has a ad he was looking forward to reading to promote the Full Throttle Talk newsletter. And remember, as he is passionately reading this ad that he asked for me to produce for him, that you want to subscribe to the newsletter and you get one of these free stickers. So Paul, go for it.
All right, here we go. It's me, Paul, and today I need to come clean about something. I've been lying to myself for years. I have spent hours hating on Corvettes, mocking their owners, making fun of those giant plastic body panels, but the truth, deep down, I love them. Sorry. The squeaky
And
interiors are adorable. The 27 trim levels with names like Stingray ZR1, ZR1X, ZR1XX are inspiring. The fact that every Corvette looks like a Camaro with a midlife crisis, iconic. So here's my olive branch. Sign up for the Full Throttle Talk newsletter, and I'll personally have Tim send you a limited edition Full Throttle Talk Windows sticker, seen above. And it'll be perfect slapping it right next to your Corvette racing decal, on your bathroom window. I don't know.
Your
Oh,
energy and enthusiasm for this ad is absolutely inspiring. Oh my
yes.
well,
gosh,
you're
you are going to
auditioning.
win. Oh, this is incredible. Keep
But if
going.
you do go to the Full Throttle Talk and sign up for the newsletter, we're going to be dropping exclusive articles, stories, videos, things for the community. Mine will be filled with heartfelt hate for Corvette appreciation,
Uh-oh.
obviously. So click the link, join the crew, and together we'll make something great again, not Corvettes. ZR1 forever, baby.
Okay, so moving on.
Well done. Well
So
done, Paul.
horrible.
All
Oh.
right, let's talk about automotive news. And I think this caught everyone by surprise. And we were talking about this prior to the official start of the show today. So Paul, I mean, honestly, I should just read this. I messaged this to you guys in our WhatsApp group. Let me find it. Here it is. Is this? Nope, wrong one. Hold on. Where is it? Okay, here it is. And Paul, what do you think? There you go. How do you pronounce this? What would be your best guess?
I thought it was Runge. I think it's Runge.
Okay,
Uh,
so there's a guy in Minnesota who if you're listening, guy in Minnesota, we definitely want to have you on the podcast. Paul, do you remember his name off the top of your head?
I thought it was Chris Runge.
Okay,
I
there you
think
go.
it's
So he's created, and I just this is inspiring to me. He's created seemingly from whole cloth because I haven't heard if he's using like flat eight Porsche castings for the motor. I don't know, but a 5.3 liter flat eight that bolts into any Porsche. I mean, that's the long story short. I can read all the descriptions, but it's 5328 cubic centimeters. That's 325 cubic inches. It's bigger than any flat six Porsche has ever put in a street legal 911 by a wide margin. It features four cams, 32 valves, 9,000 RPM red line, which is amazing. How do you do that? I honestly want to know the manufacturing story behind that. Where do you get the money and the engineering to do it? It's incredible. But key numbers such as horsepower and torque won't be announced for another few months. We're told that it'll fit into most 911 models. Runge isn't on the mission to out Singer by launching a resto. He is going to be coming out with his own car, which is, I guess, sort of 904 inspired, I think. Anyway, it's going to be called the R3. There's no official pictures of it yet, but some people are speculating that it's going to be dimensionally the size of one of those 1960s Porsche race cars, and he's going to put that flat 8 in it. I thought personally, and I think this is really incredible, when was the last time anybody produced something that badass, aside from Emery, when he made his Polo motor for his modern his 2.8s for his 356s. But other than that, that is about the coolest thing I've seen come out for the vintage Porsche world in like forever.
But I mean, even with the Emery, and it was really done by Gamroth and also
Right.
a little bit of Joey Seeley. But that engine, wasn't really revolutionary. They just took a 964 motor, cut the two middle cylinders out, and put it back together again. This, what you're talking about, is a whole, like we mentioned off, he's got to find someone to cast the case and the heads.
How do you even do that in America? If that motor's made in America, which I bet you it's not, I want to know the whole story because that's just extraordinary.
I mean, it looks like something that like Williams Cosworth or someone
100%.
in UK would make. And then I wonder how much, I mean, I had a 930, that Mad Cow 930 turbo, and the guy I bought it from, who's an engineer, had drawings to make a flat and, do the flat fan, which I think is the coolest thing when you open up a 911 and see a flat fan. But it is not efficient. It's really expensive, but this is wild. But I looking at those, like you look at the drawings, the engineering drawings, it's got coil packs. So that suggests like kind of 997 technology where it's, all electronic. You could see there's no carburetors, there's no normal fuel injection.
How's the community going to react to this motor, though? How is the Porsche community going to react to what this guy?
I mean,
I think that's going to
I
depend
think
on the price. Yeah.
200
price.
grand. I heard,
Yep.
Dave, to your point, I heard 200 grand. What do you think of this? Do you think you'll have customers, some of your very famous NASCAR driver customers?
Well, I mean, I think the guys that don't care, I mean, meaning the guys that just want something the coolest, the biggest, the baddest, the fastest, I mean, they'll definitely jump on this thing. And I think that's fascinating the way they've done it. Now, if you go to the website for this company, I think there are a few sort of images where you can at least see part of what this car that they're building, where it's going in and so on. That's going to be a personal style thing for the car the guy is actually building. The motor, I got to believe it's why he's done it, though, is probably he's got to help fund all the development of this entire project by selling these motors off to guys who are going to drop them into cool old, air-cooled 911s and so on. So I think it's going to be badass. I mean, I'm really excited to see this get dropped into a few cars.
Yeah.
And I agree. I mean, look at Myers Makes. They were $60,000, but then you can get a rotary, airplane engine, and suddenly, like guys like Matt Farah who thought, oh, cool, a modern take on a dune buggy, are like, he had to have it because of the engine. And now I can see if he's building a 904 replica, which there's plenty of different versions of those out there. If he's building something of that era, and someone's like, yeah, I could get one of those, but then they see the motor. At first shot, 200 grand, that's a lot of money. But if you're building, a lot of these guys are building $500,000 projects. So
Right.
I think it's cool.
Absolutely.
Casey, what do you think?
$50,000 motor.
I mean,
Normally,
I think
I'm sorry, go ahead, Casey.
I mean, I think any innovation in this kind of spectrum is awesome. To me, it kind of feels, it doesn't have the history, but it feels like those Lanzante 930s with the historic
Yep.
Formula One engines in them, which is really rad. I don't know how they can fit that much displacement in that car. That to me is the most interesting thing because I mean, you'd have to have the thinnest cylinder walls in order to put pistons that big to, what'd you say, 5.3 liters, something
Yeah.
like that?
Yeah.
I mean, trust me, I'd love to see, I don't want to be called a skeptic. I hope it works. I hope it's rad. And I hope it's not terrifically expensive because I'd love to see one stuffed in the back of a car. And anything that can keep people interested in internal combustion engines in this type of realm is very good for people like Paul and Dave and I. So I'm all about it.
And the noise that thing will make, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
that
I
has to
mean,
be about the coolest noise ever.
and also, I think you'll get kind of the trickle down technology. I mean, it was EFI for these old cars that started in a very expensive build. And now, Dave, when you're building a car, I think there's a good argument. EFI has gotten to be kind of affordable where you
Cheaper than
think,
carbs.
yeah, why deal with carbs? Why deal with MFI for sure when you got this EFI that can sort out a lot of things? So I think some of that technology might get adopted by some other people. It'd be interesting if you just open source it all and everyone go, okay, this is how you do it and take what you like.
I'll skip my
I want to
next.
see it running. I want to
Yeah,
see it. I think that when somebody launches something like this, they got to launch it with a noise. I think that's what
that's
really
it,
sets
right?
people off.
You
Yeah.
just go to his
I
website, you hit
mean,
a player button, just hear it.
Yep.
yeah, those pictures are cool, but show me that thing running on an engine dyno and then with a whole bunch of really cool stuff sitting around it. That'll really get me going.
Yep.
100%. I agree. I'll skip my Ferrari news because honestly, well, I'll just mention it really quick. What did you guys think of the new F40?
Oh,
Uh,
yeah, 40. This.
F40? I mean, what? I'm sorry. I'm a
I mean,
Ferrari. I love
here's what it looks
Ferraris,
like.
but what?
looks like a
It
raccoon.
it looks
A
like, yeah, raccoon or
raccoon.
someone's like playing. It's like playing peekaboo. Like, it's just very Ferrari.
Yeah, but it's such. I mean, I love Ferraris, and a lot of our listeners and viewers, even though they try to hide their light in the barrel around the three of you, love Ferraris too. But that is based on a 296, which is a great car, but it's a six cylinder. It's not a freaking F40. And to take what Ferrari's doing lately, I was forgiving of them when they did the Testarossa. Okay, whatever. But now that taking the iconic F40, exactly. And then trying to sell it to, I just don't understand. But what I'm truly fearful for, and actually I think someone's going to talk about this, so I'm not going to touch on the new CEO for Porsche being the Ferrari guy. Somebody else is going to talk about that. Yeah, and there's old Lewis, I
But
guess. I
that,
mean,
that was of your articles. That was the more interesting one. The fact that he's pushing to do a modern manual F40, like a real F40, which I don't know how much that's falling on deaf ears. I think if he wins a championship for Ferrari,
ain't gonna happen.
maybe.
Casey, what do you think? You think old Lewis is long for Ferrari? What's your opinion, being the only other F1 guy on the show?
I think he's going to do 2026 and see where things land with the
Yep.
engine. And if he does well, I think he'll continue. If Ferrari continues to Ferrari, he probably won't. But I wanted to point out how we all thought it was a two-horse race this season, and it's becoming more than that. And it's been a while since I've been excited by Formula One.
Me
But
too.
it's interesting for sure.
Next year's gonna be even better because the cars are smaller. But we're not gonna turn this into a Formula One show because Paul would fall asleep. All right, so Paul, you have a very interesting car news thing, and I know Casey was watching this as well. So go for it.
Yeah, this popped up on the scene. It was the Jerry Seinfeld 71 911S that sold on Bring a Trailer after fees for $663,000. And it is, you look at it, you go, wow, it's a nice F body, Gemini metallic blue, factory sunroof car. And it's got some nice flares on it. But what Jerry Seinfeld did was he bought this car in 2008 or 9. One family owned it for a bunch of years. Sends it. Oh, by the way, when he bought it, it looked like that.
Wow.
It was stuff that Dave sees, like the Jollies. Here it is. It's probably nicer than what the Jollies gave you. I don't know how many years, but I think the bill from Roof, they sent it over to Pfaffenhausen to Roof. They said, work your magic. And the bill, I think, from Roof was like 260,000 euros in 2010 or 11. I don't know what the conversion was, and then you adjust for inflation. But my guess was it was probably four to $500,000 then. A lot of money. But what I really like about this, I do not like the price. And at first, my first shock was I don't like the price. I hate the car. But when you look at it, it looks like a stock 911S with little flares, little attitude. Two exhausts is really the only clue. It's got 15 sevens and eights. Even when you look inside, it's got factory sports seats, Pepita. Just because I'm a nerd, Roof, when you did this, you used the wrong speaker grill, right, Tim? You know,
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. But Paul,
that's wrong.
I'm wondering, you haven't said this yet. What's the cooler part of that? And everyone loves Jerry Seinfeld, but what's the
That.
cooler part of that? But is it the roof that Roof did this car or that Jerry owned it? Why do you think it
So
sold for
that
all the money?
that was the question. And by the way, this is the killer part. Did you guys see what the engine is? It's a 3.4 liter flat six twin plug, individual throttle bodies, electronic fuel injection, which this was kind of like we were talking about with Runge. This is like early version of electronic fuel injection using an old Porsche. 6-speed manual transmission, which is crazy. But it looks benign. They didn't really say what the horsepower rating is. I would guess probably 300. And my question was, is this I mean, it's obviously a correct value. What do we think of values? Is that crazy money? Or is that because Roof is now become really well known and desirable and collectible?
Would you
His
rather have
car,
that or a new ST? There's your basic questions.
oh, I would have this in a heartbeat.
What do you
Me
think,
too.
Casey? You
Yeah,
too?
me
What,
too. I mean,
Dave? Go.
I was recently at a client's and he has a 75 RSR. And if you open up the engine bay, it looks nearly identical to that. Of course, an RSR is slide throttle, not EFI. But seeing that, like, that's all business. And being that, Roof is Roof, and I'm happy that they're finally getting the respect that they deserve because they're really great people. But that thing's awesome. And it's a Jerry Seinfeld car, which adds value to it. I honestly believe that, it's kind of like the Steve McQueen mentality, right? I mean, they sold that set, what was it, 70S or whatever for $1 million a bunch of years ago. But I think a lot of that, these bespoke kind of things that travel with history, I mean, that car checked all the boxes. Great color. I mean, great ownership. And then, I mean, Roof built it. I mean, I don't think it gets better than that. I would own that in a second over an ST.
So let me ask you a question. Let's just take the Jerry Seinfeld out. Let's just say wealthy guy with excellent taste, collector, did this. Do you
Nope,
think the price would be the same?
No.
Nope.
nope.
Well, what's the premium is where Paul's going.
Yes,
Probably 200
Probably a little of
grand.
both, right? I mean, if it was just a roof, it would probably go for an extra 100 or 150, something like that. But
but
the Jerry Seinfeld factor for sure. Couldn't he? He just bought 911 number one or something. Maybe he needed the money to flop out of that because he just bought another early car as well.
I have the
I,
feeling Jerry Seinfeld's not having to sell things to buy things, but I
Yeah,
get
no,
it,
I
man.
agree with
That
that.
was a
But I
joke.
mean,
I
it's an
really,
environmental deal, Tim. That's what it
and I,
is. He's trying to stay carbon neutral.
what I wanted
Exactly.
to find out, and no one really talked about this, Spike didn't talk about it on the show, is what this was like to drive. And he usually sells it because it's just no longer, what did he say? Like gives him the fuzz, the fizz or
Fizz.
sensation.
Yeah.
So I wonder what about this was not pleasurable to drive. I've never seen it. I didn't know this thing existed. Never saw it. I don't think the Seinfeld part adds that much. I think when you look at cars, there's only a few famous people that really spike values of Porsches. I think Porsche guys just don't give two craps about who sat in the car, except for Steve McQueen and maybe another. I think it's just Steve McQueen, honestly, and he adds like a 10 factor, or like the Risky Business 928 because it was such an iconic movie and it was not just the hero car, it was the hero of the movie. But I think with this car, because roofs right now have gotten so expensive, we were talking about it. There's if you buy an old BTR and you send it back to Roof to refresh, he does something similar to what he did to this car. He'll upgrade to a 6-speed manual. He'll do a 3.4. He'll get 350 or 500 horsepower of it because it's a turbo, and he's charging 400,000 euro. And I think someone bought it because I think it's almost like patient zero of his modern refurbishment
Jerry
of
doesn't seem to be into the hot rods, right? I mean, most of Jerry's cars, when I've seen it, and he could buy wherever the hell he wanted to buy, and I imagine that would be the reason that he would choose maybe a real non-modified Porsche. That might be the reason it got sold. But yeah, these are all valid points. I mean, it is a gorgeous car, and I'd rather have that than an ST for sure, which bodes well for the old Porsche world. Now, imagine that car with the flat V8 or the flat 8 in it from the previous conversation. That would be pretty cool.
yeah.
Without a
And I
doubt.
think I would take this even if with less, it's worth less money. I would take this over, what is it? One of these all day long.
Well, we're getting to that. So don't do
Yeah.
we're going to go back to start talking about Singer here in a second. All right. So Casey, automotive news. I see something really cool coming up in Broad Arrow that you were interested in.
Yeah, so when Tim, when we were talking to Ray at Luft, he was talking to me about this thing that Hagerty and Broad Air, I guess it's just Hagerty Marketplace is doing. There's a gentleman that passed away named David Glenn, who was actually one of the original engine builders for the RUF Yellowbird, based in Florida, kind of north of Daytona, if I'm not mistaken. And they're going to be auctioning off pretty much his entire collection of parts and cars and tools and everything from his collection on Hagerty Marketplace. And it looks super cool. I love digging into stuff like this. There's posters, there's factory manuals, there's pieces of paper that had the original, specs and schematics of RUF engines. And I think it's super cool. And if you just Google Hagerty and then David Glenn, I'm sure that it'll pop up. But I think it starts on November 3rd. And my buddy Ray has a lot to do with it. I know he's been cataloging all of the stuff that's in it for many months now. And I think it's going to be something really interesting to watch.
Casey, I've got a great suggestion for you. Paul, I need your help. What's that swap meet? Pomona, right? The big Porsche swap meet that still happens in California once a year.
Yeah, it's called a Pomona swap meet.
You've got to go to
Oh,
that, Casey.
Yeah.
The Pomona swap meet is, I want to say, like once a month.
Yeah, it's freaking bonkers. But just, advanced player tip, get there really freaking early, and that's where all the cool stuff comes out. There's so many old farts with massive collections of the weirdest ass shit you've ever seen from Porsche's back catalog that eventually they pull it out of their barns or whatever, and they show up with like 7R wheels, or they pull, original 911R parts. The stuff that's in Southern California is freaking bonkers.
But the problem is they're the typical Corvette. I know what I have.
Oh yeah.
I know what I got. Yeah.
They are. Well, but honestly, when you come across one of those unicorn type parts, you just pay up wherever the old fart's asking and just be on with it and move on with your life. All right. So I think this bit of news from David is the most interesting for a whole bunch of reasons. Sir?
We have talked obviously a lot about just Porsche's struggles in terms of what's been happening over the last year and a half, and so on. And like happens often in corporate America or corporate Germany in this case, they're making changes and they're trying to bring in talent that will help guide the ship in the future. So Porsche has, and it's not like he needed a golden parachute or anything because let's see, this guy looks like me. I'll get out of the way. But this is Porsche's new CEO. Hey there, handsome. Dr. Michael, I'm not
Getting
sure if it's
weird.
is it Leiters or Leaders. I don't know how he pronounces it.
Uh,
Leiters.
Probably
yeah.
Um,
lighters.
and he succeeds Dr. Bloom, Oliver Bloom, who is going to stay on as the CEO of Volkswagen Group. But what's interesting is Mr. Leiters has had a reasonably long experience with Porsche previously and was a guy around during the launch of the Cayenne. I think he was largely responsible for managing through some of that. He was also a CTO at Ferrari, I think, for quite a long time as well. Then, most recently, for about the last 3 years, he was the CEO of McLaren.
Well, so let's stop there.
So,
So where is
okay,
this? But where in your mind, David? You pulled this up, and I agree with you. It's very important news for the Porsche world. Well, how is this relevant? What effect will this guy have on Porsche? And remember, the last guy who just sort of quit with the worst, I think, exit speech ever. The Porsche business model no longer works. Bye bye. I'm out.
Mic drop.
F you all.
Well,
I'm out. I'm going over to
well, you
Volkswagen.
have to believe he's going to be responsible for executing on the new vision, assuming that continues to be the vision. And I'm assuming he was at least been being interviewed during a lot before that whole um, press release and the whole investor conference was coming out on what they're going to do with the ICE cars and the hybrid and the electric, fully electric cars. This is clearly a guy who comes from a sports car background. So with all that, one would think that we were going to get a lot of great features and a lot of focus on the sports car side of this market and hopefully and continue to add performance even to the mainstay stuff, the SUV side of the market too. So,
Well, what
Tim, you
is
got any other thoughts, or Casey, you got any other thoughts on?
Well, if he was around during the launch of Cayenne, that means that he did a lot with Vita King, and Vita King was all about efficiency and all about streamlining processes and becoming, I mean, if you look at up until I think like 17 or 18, and I've said this on here before, the highest volume of 911s ever produced was in 2007.
Hmm.
And that ramped up from the beginning of 997 and streamlining of that Kaizen approach of manufacturing with last minute and all that stuff. So if they're looking to cut costs and be more efficient and build better cars, I mean, a guy from that generation is probably going to check a lot of those boxes.
Yep.
I'll suggest to you guys what we're about to see is essentially Porsche, as we've all, I think, agreed, is going to start making exactly what Ferrari's doing. More cars, smaller batches, limited editions. That's where it's going to go. So you're going to see ST variants, you're going to see GT3 variants, you're going to see all these decal jobbies, all these things, exactly what Ferrari's doing. Ferrari's
Or
building more cars, smaller production runs, but more different models.
I mean, but if he came from the Vita King background, and I think the key is he doesn't have a CFO background, which would be the worst thing. He has a CTO background, which means he is interested. He's got a technical background. Vita King was really a hero among a lot of designers, besides sort of saving the company. He also really,
That minor
got
thing.
yeah, he got, I mean, the car you're getting, Dave, is sort of spawned from Vita King, letting Andy Pruninger develop this whole part. He could see what this could be. Yes, efficiencies, costs, and all that. But I think maybe things will, instead of buying a 911 Dakar, you'll buy a 911T and add the Dakar package.
That's what's going to happen.
And I think that will be, it'll kind of make it. I feel sorry for the guys who bought the one of 900 because their one of 900 is going to be just diluted. But maybe for people like us, there'll be a sub $100,000 sports car that really appeals to us. Maybe from
It will
Porsche.
be interesting what happens with the numbered series. I mean, so what Ferrari does, in case you guys don't know, is they'll come out with, they'll essentially open the order books for the new Ferrari 296 GTS, and they're going to make them from this date to this date, and they're going to essentially produce as many as they can during that date. And generally speaking, they'll pre-sell all the cars. So virtually all the allocations will be grabbed up within, sometimes depending what it is, within weeks. And so that's what I'm sure Porsche is going to do as well. They're going to make smaller batches, like what Paul just said, a specialized cars. Think PTS on crack, but sort of for everybody. That's what I'm going to guess is going to happen. That's what I would do if I were in that position, because you can, frankly, make a lot more money, and everyone's a winner. Everyone gets a limited edition car. I mean, that's what they're going
Yeah.
to do. All right.
I
AYSO
think
for
what's
Porsches.
one of the interesting, it's just good to see, in my opinion, that it's got its own CEO again instead of a dual role.
For
That's
sure.
always a kiss of death when you try to do the dual role thing from a high level. And I think this is just a better future for Porsche for sure. And this guy's obviously got the goods.
It is worrisome because they did get delisted from their equivalent of the New York Stock Exchange, whatever's in Germany, and they essentially, their market value dropped by half. That is frightening, honestly. What they might, hopefully, you're right, Dave, with your intuitive comments about the direction this guy will go from an engineering perspective, and they don't just essentially decide to start pounding out a shit ton of Macans for, $1.98 and, swing for the fences. But we will see. All right, moving on. Dave, I believe you have an ad letting people know about our amazing Full Throttle Talk newsletter. Oh, and by the way, if you guys are bored and frustrated reading these horrible ads for the Full Throttle Talk newsletter, we'll make them shorter next time. But remember, when you do subscribe to the Full Throttle Talk newsletter, you get one of these amazing stickers. Look behind Paul Kramer's head. Go ahead, Dave.
Oh wow, that's like I've got to here, hang on a second. Let me do this too. There we go. There's me with my full throttle talk coffee mug. There's the sticker
No,
right there. Okay,
yeah, go ahead.
let's go. We'll figure that. That's phase two of the program. Ladies and gentlemen, start your browsers. It's time to join the full throttle crew.
Yeah.
Sign up for the Full Throttle Talk newsletter and we'll ship you an exclusive wind tunnel tested. Paul, you're supposed to make noise now, like it's a leaf blower in your.
Whoosh,
This
whoosh,
is the wind
whoosh,
tunnel. This is a wind tunnel tested full throttle
whoosh.
sticker, and we'll ship you an exclusive one. Not just any one, but an exclusive one. But that's not all. But there's more. You'll also get original articles, wild stories, and behind the scenes videos straight from each one of us hosts. Content you'll never see anywhere. Now click the link, wave the checkered flag, and show the world you're full throttle all the time.
The sarcasm was almost undetectable, unlike Paul. So go, Dave. So far, Dave's
But it
winning
was
on the
good.
live
I
read.
want that voice like the guy
Yeah.
who's doing the monster truck thing.
Well,
Okay,
it sound like
fullthrottletalk.com.
yeah, it was either like the Octagon or NHRA racing.
Right. By the way, have you guys started thinking about what content you're going to contribute to the newsletter? I have. I've got a long list.
Well, good. You can carry it for a while.
I might end up doing it. Well, I'm going to give you guys the cheat code for that. Just go to Chat GPT and ask
Yeah.
it for a list of topics and ask it to help you write some content or just put up a little cheese ball video. I mean, anything, right?
I got so much cheeseball stuff going on around here, Tim,
Well,
every day. I
but
can just
that
videotape what's happening here.
totally. I mean, I loved walking through any shop, but your shop in particular, and a little video of the guy, putting in carbon fiber roof for one of these famous NASCAR guys you build cars for, things like that. That would be fantastic. And so that's what the
Cool.
newsletter is. It's basically where we pull the community together, and there's going to be a forum that we're going to attach to it as well. But yeah, so make sure you subscribe to Full Throttle Talk. All right, let's move on. FullThrottleTalk.com. Let's move on to our next segment. I found this really interesting. It'll be interesting if you guys find this really interesting. I don't know if you listen to Chris Harris's podcast. I always listen to it. He's my brother from a different mother, sort of. So, what's the difference between a supercar and a sports car? And I will let Mr. Kramer go first.
Yeah, I thought about this, and I know I saw some of your notes, and I kind of disagree. I mean, I think
Good.
a sports car is something that's a tool for driving. Someone wants an experience, whether it's going to canyons, doing track days. There's sports car race series, like in Europe and especially England, they do sports car series. They don't do supercar series. Supercars this is a sports car, a Lotus, Elise. It's impractical, but it is made. It's affordable, reasonable. This is a supercar. What is this? Rimac?
No, that's one of
No.
those. Yeah, well, it's something crazy.
Is that
These
a
are
Bugatti?
supercars. I think to some degree, a supercar is just unobtainable. It's a price you can't, like it's the Lamborghini Countach when I was younger. It's the thing you make a poster of on your wall, the thing you see in a video game. It's something that you aspire to tongue in cheek, but there's a part of you that kind of goes, I doubt I'll ever get it. And if you are lucky to get it, I gotta believe it's a pinch me moment if you actually worked hard to get some supercar, which in the end of the day, even if I had the money, there's no way in hell. I mean, big question, was this a supercar? A spiker? I mean, bespoke? Ugh. Boy, that didn't age. That did not age well, did it?
It's like a boat.
Well, what it looks
Okay,
like is like
Captain Kramer
back in
launching.
the back in the 80s when you go into like a grandma's house and they have a wood toilet seat cover.
That's
You know?
totally sanitary. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So I don't know if a supercar is, I know what a sports car is. A sports car is something you want to drive, doing something with canyon,
Okay, so
track,
let
or
me
whatever.
let me add to it. Chris Harris, who we will all agree is one of the biggest advocates, especially for 911s on planet Earth. Yes, yes, yes. He said a 911 can never be a sports car or never be a supercar.
He's
No
right.
911 will ever be a supercar. So, Paul, I'm going to toss off to Dave. Dave, what did you come up with? What is,
I mean, for me, one you drive and one is just a flex. I mean, that's the
hmm,
way I see it. I mean, the manufacturers that come out with these cars are coming out with them they're very limited. They're very, very, very few people. And the thing that sells the car is the exotic look and its top speed. Really top speed. Most of it, most of these cars aren't ever gauged on their driving ability, their handling, those sorts of things. Almost all of them are basically about top speed, maybe sometime, not even around Nuremberg, really.
So
I mean,
top speed is but David, just so I'm hearing you correctly, you're saying top speed is your differentiator, and I'm hearing
no, no,
Paul's.
no, no, no. No, I don't think top speed is differentiator. I just think that that's when you look at why people build these cars and why they buy them and what the measuring stick is for what's fantastic and what isn't. It's really top speed becomes the measuring stick.
Hmm.
Um, and then the exotic look. I mean, the crazy carbon fiber or the weird shapes or those kinds of things. And they're more of a flex car. People don't drive those cars. Maybe if you go to Dubai or someplace, you'll see one somewhere, but they're not getting driven. The car behind me is a car people drive. I would agree that this isn't a supercar. This is a sports car. But I would be curious to get your guys' opinion on a 959. Was a 959 a supercar?
In its era.
Possibly in its era. But the GT3RS, it's like the Lambros are trying so hard to make that a supercar
Bro, they
because
have.
they've turned it into a flex.
They
They haven't
have.
turned it. Yeah.
Fair enough. I mean, I'm not going to disagree, but I don't classify this as a supercar. You're not going to go see the car behind you in its own racing series, Paul. Right? I mean, you're not going to have a bunch of them lined up and ripping around the track somewhere. So
Demolition
this car,
Derby,
obviously,
baby.
yes.
Bugatti Demolition Derby. You know how hard that would sell?
I'd go to that though. I would
Go to the
definitely
Pomona
go.
Fairgrounds to see the Bugatti Figure 8 crisscross Demolition Derby.
But you guys, the irony of it is that the top speed thing really isn't a differentiator anymore. And I'm going to bring up Paul's ever-present favorite topic. If you look at the ZR1 X, and you look at that thing, the top speed is what, 235 miles per hour, and the base price in those damn things is 230 grand. I mean, come the hell on. That's essentially what your options list would cost on your Koenigsegg, probably half of what it would actually cost. So that's the reason it's an interesting topic. And I'm not sure if I agree with Chris Harris that a 911 can never be a supercar, to be honest with you. I'm not sure if I do, because I think David, RS that's coming in, I actually feel that's more special than some of these super special cars. But Casey, what do you think? What's the difference
I
between a
think
sports car and a supercar?
so I look after sports cars, supercars, and one thing we didn't touch on is hypercars. And you, it, I believe that for something to be a supercar, it needs to have a bespoke platform. It needs to be something special, some sort of carbon fiber monocoque, something like that, something that is more than something that is shared with a platform that is significantly less expensive. And I would tell you that in my work that I do, where I often have to exercise things like this, when things become supercars, that is when I become uncomfortable putting miles on them for fear that something will hit the car and cause irreparable or insanely expensive damage to carbon fiber components, something like that.
Yeah, that makes sense. So here's what I came up with. Simple, a supercar can't be driven daily, has barely enough room for two people, two seats, barely enough room space for a small bag, A to A type car. I'm sure you guys are familiar with that. Basically, you drive it out of your garage, you drive it around your, favorite driving route and you bring it back. You're not going on a tour with it. And when you get back, it leaves you exhausted and needing a nap for 3 hours after 3 hours of use. That kind of describes any GT3 RS I've ever driven, just for the
I
record.
mean,
As-
it describes this.
yeah,
A
totally.
Lotus.
That's what I'm saying. This is the reason
So,
it's a good question.
so is that a supercar?
Well, I mean, it could be. Put that flat V8 or why do I say flat V8 every time? I have a brain worm. The supercar has to attract love and hate. That's the other thing I think you guys all touched on. Everywhere you go, people want to take pictures of it at the car and always ask you what you do for a living. So when you start driving your RS, Paul or David, you're going to get that question. What do you do for a living? That is an annoying question that you will get. And I'll tell you from personal experience, because for a very brief time, never having had a supercar before, Julie and I bought an Aventador. This is when we lived in Texas, tricolor. I don't remember the Italian name for it, Aventador Roadster. And I drove it once or twice, decided it wasn't for me. But everywhere you drive, people are taking freaking pictures in your blind spots, and you have to constantly be on the lookout. So it totally takes the fun out of it. And when some of these supercars, when you actually take them out and drive them as if they were sports cars, they're awful. And the Aventador was awful. Um, Lime Creek Road in Austin, which some of you guys know about. You go on Lime Creek Road, and it's a very tight, very, very crazy ass road. The Aventador hated it. It barely fit on the road. Its transmission started to slip. It was miserable. But if you're touring around and you're trying to show off to, I think Casey's point, a flex car, there you go. So you guys have any other closing thoughts about this
Well,
particular
I
topic?
think when the GT3 RS arrives for Dave, he's going to have to get really good at jumping out of the car, putting the phone and go, Dave Van Epps here in my GT3, and do the YouTuber influencer
Smash
vibe.
that like button, boy.
It's like it's a crack. Yeah, boy. So, Dave, you might as well start practicing. So when it arrives, you're ready to be an influencer. You can do it.
Hey guys, here's the secret. I think it's here. It's here.
Is it really?
I think I may see it tonight.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
It arrived last week into Jacksonville, and it's I believe it is coming by truck today
Can you
up to the dealership. And I happen to be going to this dealership for another event tonight, and I might get a sneak peek at it.
can you wear
But
like a
Nice.
body cam for us or
like,
something?
sure, of course. I mean,
Yeah.
absolutely. I've got, it'll be a cool event for sure. I mean,
I,
again, I don't know. I think this might be the first one they've delivered to a customer.
I'm going to make a statement and I want you guys to hold me accountable. And if you disagree, tell me I'm full of shit. I think personally, those RSs, even at their present values, are going to look very, very cheap because the new iterations of whatever that becomes are going to be even more expensive because Porsche can make the money off of it because they've been seeing the ADMs on those things. And I think those cars, despite the fact that they probably made too many, are going to go down in the history books of being one of the most desirable cars of their era. And that's what they're going to be wanting in the future, in my opinion. Debate.
I love your thinking, Tim. I'm right there with you.
Yeah, you would be.
I don't know.
I would be
I mean,
exactly.
the problem is I just look at the only data points we have is history. You look at get out of the 997 era because those were manual unique things, but 991.1 GT3 RS still a really good value.
That's
99
such a
It
cooler
is.
car, Paul. I'm sorry, it
No,
just
no, I know
is.
it's a cooler car, but then you go to 991.2 GT3 RS. That is a cooler car than the 991.1, and the values have just sort of they just bobble around. Whereas the Tourings do this weird. Everyone's gonna have a Touring for whatever reason, manual, whatever. I don't want a wing. I don't. I think just historically, looking at the last two, being a contrarian, I think they're going to do the same thing because they'll come out with something else that the Lambro's got to have that's going to be the new wow. And then that'll be still a great car, but not the fizz in terms of new, shiny, got to have it. And it's going to take 15 to 20 years to then show off that, oh my God, this is something really special.
Dave will still be driving it in 50 to 20 years, so that's good. Casey, you have an opinion on that? What's your hot take on RSs?
Um, I think I've talked about it a bit before. You know, I'm happy that Dave is excited. I hope that Dave drives the snot out of it because I do know a lot of people, including the ones that I look after, are not driven very much. And I hope he drives it in anger. And that's what I hope for Dave.
It's
Oh man, he was about to say something. He pulled back.
No, I
I know
just,
I
I,
can
I
feel
mean,
it.
there,
I'm happy that Dave's excited. That was like Eeyore saying, "I'm really, really proud of you."
Come
well,
on,
no,
Casey.
Bless your heart.
they're all great. They're all great cars. And I know Dave's stoked.
I am.
To me, as I've discussed before, and it's just like we talked about the touring, I don't like when cars become fashion. And I really believe that that car has become fashion. And to see somebody drive one in anger, like one of my clients, tracks his, that's what I want to see. And I don't want to see them roll around and have the Dua Lipa special edition of the car. That's not what I'm into. And that's unfortunately, I believe, why these cars are becoming that level of popular.
So Casey, you want me to do you a favor and do your live read for you?
No, I'll do it.
No, I want Casey. But first of
Damn
all,
right.
Casey, we should give Dave a checklist in the first 6 months, once the engine's broken in, of things he has to do. And I would say the first thing, he's only allowed to take it to Cars and Coffee twice. And to earn more Cars and Coffee events, he has to go do a rally or a track day with it. And then he gets to do another Cars and Coffee. Like a 1-to-1, you want to go Cars and
Ratio.
Coffee, you got to do a
Okay.
track day.
Since we're noodling on this particular thing for too long, you guys, here's the thing that really fascinates me is there are no parts transferences other than the obvious motor and transmission from the modern RS to any of these other cars. All this sort of, the things you can adjust on the steering wheels, is the suspension and the aero, all that stuff is unique to that car. And listen to me, Porsche did not take that and put it on a lesser car. That's the reason I think that car is special, because it does have a lot of really unique stuff. It's not a parts bin car like some of these other special editions. Our Speedster included parts bin car. I see it for what it is. So that's my thought about that. But the only thing that would make your RS even better would be Paul, you got to put
Full
the
Throttle Talk sticker.
full
Do you
throttle talk
love
sticker.
Do you love GT3 RSs but hate being ordinary? Have you ever thought, wow, my life needs 12 square inches of sticky vinyl and exclusive insider content from my favorite podcast hosts, or probably just Tim? Well, today's your lucky day. Sign up for a free Full Throttle Talk newsletter and you get a limited edition Dave Van Epps ordered FTT window sticker, exclusive articles by Tim, behind the scenes stories, and videos from every one of us hosts. And it's scientifically proven to boost your cool factor, cooler than Batman Daytonas, cooler than, or Batman GMTs, cooler than watches that have been to the moon, cooler than Paul's tuning fork watch. That's all I got. Sign up.
Casey,
Smash that like button, boy.
Casey, what the hell?
That was
FullThrottleTalk.com.
Awesome.
wow. He had
That
an
was
out of
awesome.
body experience. I
He
thought that
did.
was
I'm so tired. Where am I?
No,
you're in
bro.
the engine room. You've been working on engines all day.
Oh,
Oh
man.
boy.
Bravo, you win, Casey. That was so good.
Casey,
All
you were
right.
good.
Casey, you did win. Thank you. All right, segment 4, Ultimate 992 Porsche build off. Your budget is 225 grand max. It is funny. When I was coming up with this idea, I had to think of all the ways you guys were going to try to game it. And I know every one of you would go the base ass car and try to take some victory lap for coming up with the best poverty spec. So that's the reason I made it. So you had to spend 225 grand or very close. So this is it. Ultimate build off, maximum budget of 225,000. And I'll be honest, the reason I chose that as a price point is because it is the same start price as Paul's favorite car, the ZR1X. All right, so let's roll in. Paul, you're going to go last. David, let's do yours first.
All right. I actually took this car, just took one wheel off, and that's really what happened. No, not really. This is my particular spec, and I think I spent close to all the money here. And there wasn't a lot of choices, but I decided I was going to go something that was reasonably practical, something that could be enjoyed in lots of different kinds of driving conditions. This happens to be the 2026 GTS Targa in a lovely shade of blue. I can't remember exactly. Let me look here. I've got my build up. This is obviously the Gentian blue metallic. I did option it with a blue target top. Option wise, I could not spring for the expensive wheels because that was going to take me over budget. I didn't have lots of choices on the interior. I went again because this car starts. I mean, this is a high base price car for sure. But I did go, and unfortunately, I didn't grab a picture of this before. I did go with the Heritage Design interior with the ballistic black with the Pasha inserts on this, and both front and back of the seats, which I think is really pretty sweet. Um, I could not afford the adaptive 18-way seats, so I had to stick with the base package, just the 4 ways, but I never care about that, and I don't understand. Maybe Paul can shed some light on this as somebody that may need some back adjustment, but boy, I'm always surprised. I can always find a comfortable position in most seats, so I don't know why they have all these motors and all this weight that they do on the 18-way stuff.
I love
But
18 ways. They're my favorite.
Clearly, Dave
They're my
does not
favorite.
have lower back problems.
No.
well, no, I'm going to. I mean, it's on the way. Maybe it's from sitting in shitty seats, but it did come with the I had to upgrade to the Bose sound system. I could not get the axle lift. I had to strip this back a little bit to make it happen, but I came in at 223, 380 as my base price, as my delivered price on the car. So there you go. That's my entry into the four-way competition to this afternoon or this
Have you
morning.
guys seen any Targa 992s? Have you actually seen
Yeah.
them
Oh
in
yeah.
real life?
Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
a second gen one or a first gen one?
What do you mean like a dot two versus a dot
Like a
one?
dot,
These are all
which one are
dot
you
twos,
referring to?
Casey. These are all dot
Yeah,
Yeah.
twos.
okay. No, I don't know if I've seen a new GTS on the
I haven't
road.
either. Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of the vents, the active vents that look like, shark teeth or whatever here on the front of it. Not my favorite option on that car. Um, but that's a styling choice that it's had, and we were optioning a new one, so this is what we had to work with. So,
And you were okay
but
with PDK because you can't get a manual in one of those bad
oh,
boys.
it does have a manual. The GT. I'm sorry, thank you for pointing that out. That you can get
You
on this
can't.
particular car. Hang on a minute, I have it right here. Hang
No,
on,
they're the only
2026. 1 second. I'm going to click down. You guys can, continue amongst yourself. I'm almost positive I spec this car with
all right.
I bet you
manual.
your GT3 RS that it doesn't come with the manual
Uh-oh,
transmission.
don't take the bet,
Uh-oh.
Dave. I
Uh-oh.
researched it.
Hang on. I'm not gonna, but I'm
It's a
you
setup. Don't bet against Casey.
you're right.
because the
You're
GTS is
right.
the new hybrid, and that is
You're
the big
right.
question: is can they even possibly do
Yeah,
a manual? And if
the
they did
only
a
the only
manual, would it make
cars they put
sense?
sticks in now are GT3s
T
and
and the
Ts.
T.
Right.
Yep.
So
You're
Kate,
right. I did. Forgive me. I was wrong.
no, no, it's fine. Still an awesome car. I mean, it is. So actually, you guys can help me with this and all the listeners. The GT3 RS has PDK Sport, and the standard 911s don't have the Sport. So what is the actual difference? Is the transmission gearing? Obviously, it's software. What's the actual difference?
Oh, probably a whole lot.
Yeah, I'm going to go with a whole lot. It's not just the transmission software, though, right? It's not
Mm-mm.
just the transmission DME.
No, no,
Okay,
I'm assuming the gear ratios are all completely
I think
different
so.
and the clutches are
For the
operate
GTS
differently.
for the hybrid, I mean, I was in the hybrid, just the torque fill in the for the turbo motor. Wasn't that in the transmission?
Yeah, but I'm talking about the actual, yeah, the torque fill, right? The electric motor kicks in between shifting, but I'm saying in the actual transmission itself, the PDK, what is it called? PDK Sport or PDK-S? I've got it in my RS,
Yeah,
but
I don't. I mean, before the 992, the 991, the manual was the same thing. It was the PDK gears turned into a manual. There was
right.
no difference.
But I think
I
the
don't.
standard car, to Casey's point, I think the standard car has different gear set than the RS cars. But we'll see. We don't know. All
It
right,
just
Kate.
listed as the 8-speed PDK, right? So
It's
I'm
an
not
eight
sure if,
speed. Okay.
yeah, maybe
Yeah,
that's the difference.
there.
So
That's
it's got
yeah.
to be geared differently then.
It has to be.
Yep.
Casey,
Has
you're
to
up
be.
next, and that looks amazing. So, what did you come up with?
So I will tell you that I have probably built in my career 1,000 911s. Maybe not 1,000, maybe 800.
Who's
And
counting?
a lot. So we talked about manual. I went with a Carrera S. The 7-speed manual transmissions that I am familiar with in 992s, I did not find that enjoyable. I've not driven a 6-speed Carrera T, so I can't comment. So I went with Carrera S. I went Mir Blau, so dark sea blue. I did the cognac and black interior. I did Burmester. I did front axle lift. I did good headlights. I did good wheels. I did black ceramic brakes, slick top, and that's about it. Some other things here and there. I think it was around 210. To me, that is a car that I could own for forever. And if I wanted a manual, I could take the extra 40 grand and buy I don't know,
By
996
car.
or something else
Yeah.
for it. I think that a Carrera S, which is basically the prior GTS engine, is a riot, and I think it's a fantastic package.
So, between the two, you guys are all in the business. Resell. Which one of those two cars are going to do better? 5 years from now, which
I
one's
think
going to do
I
better?
think the Targa.
The Targa probably.
I agree.
Targas are
Targas
always
are
they
still
make
holding their value
yeah
pretty immediately right
they
now.
do really
That's our
Well,
really well.
I think they hold their value because the take rate is so low. It surprises me every year Porsche says we're going to make one because
It's
the
such
take
a cool
rate is
car.
so. It
Yeah.
Yeah,
is
they they
cool.
don't
Everyone
they don't
loves it,
build a
but no
lot.
one.
They don't build a lot of them, Paul.
Yeah, but no one orders them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Well,
Like Casey said.
they trust me. They sell every one that they make. They just when it comes to allocations, you can. When I was with Porsche, you had a bucket, right? You had a 992 Carrera S, right? You could choose it to be a coupe or a convertible at that moment, and then you would build the car. Targas came as their only thing. So they came as Targa 4, Targa 4S, Targa 4 GTS. You couldn't make it something else. They were called flex buckets on the other cars. Like say you had a Cayman allocation, not that they build Caymans anymore, but you could make a Cayman a base, an S, or when they made a T, you could make it one of the three. But with Targas, they were just, this is your Targa, this is what you get. Sometimes you could negotiate with the person at Porsche to make a Targa 4S into a GTS or a GTS into a 4S. But Targas were their own thing. And I think it's honestly because of the complexity of the roofs and the cost of making them why they did cut back production.
So what you're saying is try to find a 991.2 Targa, and that's probably going to be a really great car long term. That's what I'm hearing you say with a
I
manual transmission.
I mean I
Yeah.
that to me it's I was never a huge fan of Targas because I thought they weighed a ton and they had all of that weight in the top of them. And I honestly dealt a lot with the issues of the early ones from like 2014s, where when you drive over bumps, it would sound like a styrofoam cooler flexing. I mean, so I had clients that I would go over to their house and drive the car around at 6 miles an hour to try to get rid of that. As time went on, Porsche fixed that and they put all these different things in play. I've never been a huge fan of the Targa. I'd rather just have a convertible personally, but the general public, due to the fact that they are pretty rare in the grand scheme of things, does that make them significantly more desirable.
Speaking of more desirable, I think I've got you guys beat, though I see Paul's trying to steal some of my thunder with what he's got coming up. And unfortunately, I don't have a picture, but I do have a lot of well-researched facts. All right, so starting out with a 2025 Porsche 911 Carrera T, 7-speed manual. All right, 7-speed manual, 135.9. Now, I learned some stuff when I was going through this process. I started out on the Porsche build site, and then I actually used my best friend AI and to really drill down on this even more. Are you guys familiar with this thing called Paint to Sample Plus? Are you, Casey?
Yes.
All right, so I honestly did not know that much about it. So can one of you guys
Well,
explain that?
yeah. So, and in fact, when I was choosing mine, I wanted to do paint to sample plus because I wanted to do leaf green. And the way it works, and I think paint to sample is like 15, 16, $17,000. Paint to sample plus is double that, like 34,000. And what it is you submit a color you want, whether it's a retro color or matching a sample or another manufacturer's. And the reason it's double is they basically, from my understanding, talking to people like Jeff Swart, they have to paint the car twice. They have to
Wow.
see, does the color actually work on, back in the day when you're doing like a G body, all you had to worry about was steel and aluminum bumpers and aluminum mirrors. That's it. Now you've got several kinds of steels, aluminum, polymers, like several kinds of different plastics, and they got to make sure it all fit, it all lasts, it can handle, flex for the bumpers, it can handle heat, carbon fiber. So I wanted to choose that for mine, and the only reason I
Up, up,
didn't,
up. Don't jump ahead.
I won't. But anyway,
You're next.
so that's yeah, it's really expensive. But if it was, I think Ferrari offers something similar, and I'm guessing theirs is double that, probably 80
Yeah,
grand,
definitely.
80 grand. Yeah.
It's 30. No, what is it now? Anyway, yeah, you're 100% right. It's a lot. But so Paint to Sample Plus, and again, that was a good education for me, and thank you, Paul. So I was going with olive green ruby stone, but probably olive green would be my preference. A sport design arrow kit. I thought that looked kind of neat for 7 grand. It kind of seems like a deal for 7 grand in the scheme of things. Of course, you got to put in your alloy look gas cap, at the PLDS Plus lights for $1,900, the 2021-inch RS Spider center lock wheels. I thought those would be nice for 4 grand. And then you get into the other specific things, Sport Chrono Plus, 2,400. I can go through the list of things. But at the end of the day, interior wise, extended leather, two-tone, $3,000. The Pepita, obviously houndstooth seat inserts, 3,000. I didn't realize there's 3,000, by the way. Holy crap. Just get aftermarket. No, that's a
Yeah,
lot.
that's about right.
Yeah, you
Uh,
could just take the centers out, go get and just
I mean,
remove them.
it's not a good scenario considering they have all that stuff. They can just plug it in either way. It doesn't cost them anymore. But as far as a value is concerned, it's a good value.
Yeah.
deviated stitching, seatbelt. So anyway, you go through all these things and you can actually really dude up the interior at a very, very high level and make something truly spectacular that's going to be very unique. Have some fun with the colors a little bit. And then, yes, why not add the expensive stereo, the Brewmeister stereo, the premium package plus with the ventilated seats, lane change assistance, ambient lighting for 5,200 bucks. You know, it's funny, these options are so expensive, but when you look at Ferrari's options, this looks so cheap. It's terrible to say, but it's true. Surround view night vision, 2,500 bucks. Glass sunroof. I'm not sure if I'd add it or not, but let's throw that on there. Probably I wouldn't.
No.
2,000 bucks. Model designation on the exterior. Maybe, who knows? But yeah, at the end of the day, you add all this up and then you tap into European delivery, which is what I would definitely do. The total is basically 225 grand. So you would have the world's most expensive 911T with a manual transmission, but have some of the coolest options I think you could possibly get from Porsche. Again, I think that's kind of a killer, keep it forever type car. What do you guys think?
I agree, and I know you copied me because I and you built yours well, just not well enough.
I think you've overbuilt for the neighborhood, actually,
So
though. I
so it
mean,
is
as a value
I had to get to, I
proposition.
wanted to follow my own rules and get to 225
yes.
grand. It took
I
some work on a T because I wanted a manual transmission.
and Tim, you and I think alike. That was the main thing. I looked through manual transmission. It's got to be a 911. Even if you open it up to mid-engine, I still wanted a 911.
Yep.
But unlike Casey, uh, I this is the second time I've gone to the configurator. I've only gone one other time, and it's sort of like an alcoholic. You just don't go to the bar, and that's I will build one when I fell in love with the 991.2 Carrera T, and then when the 992.1 Carrera T came out, I went to the configurator thinking, what if we went to Germany and took tourist delivery as part of our trip? And then I saw how much it freaking cost. Two problems I have with it: how much it cost for base, and the fact that if you just ordered performance stuff that enhanced the driving, which deviated stitching does not, there was very little. On this car, I kind of had a problem because I really wanted ceramic brakes. And I don't know why they don't offer ceramic brakes on the Carrera T. There was two things. I wanted the carbon roof. I hate the look of a black roof, and they didn't have the option. I would love a carbon roof and do the flex of painting it body color. So the only way you could tell it's carbon fiber is if you get really close. I would have done paint to sample plus leaf green, but I chose Oratium green, which was close. By the way, base price of a Carrera T for 99 the 2026 is $143,700.
They raised the price.
Base. They
Wow.
raised the price. A 991.2 base Carrera T, guess how much that was base MSRP? Do you know, Casey?
Well,
In
all
18?
we used to order those and all in with all the right stuff, they were like 113 grand.
Yeah.
That is insane.
Base price was 95.
Oh my gosh.
And it's crazy. So I added $79,340 of options, which came to a total price of 200 with delivery, taking delivery at an experience center, $225,390. I tried to order stuff that was really performance oriented. I don't know if you saw these wheels. It's the first wheels that I kind of liked. They are exclusive design, but they have carbon fiber blades. So they're still, alloy forged wheels. So you get a mix of carbon fiber for less weight, but still have the strength. I don't know about what we talked about durability. Of course, didn't quite do badge delete, just did 911 on the back, which I think looks better. Tim, I had the aero package picked twice. That wing, here's my problem is I hate these cars when they're driving. The back end looks like a June bug flying away. It's just like it's sort of like check out my ass and the whole back end opens up and it looks like it's falling apart. the new wing. It's
No,
not a
no, I
very
got
cool
it. It's
wing. I
just
hate it.
I was just wondering where you were going with your
Yeah.
analogy, but okay.
So, but the thing about getting the Aero kit is the wing, you don't have that opening. But then I just didn't like the look of it. But I did like the fact
we should talk about wings someday.
we will.
Nah, we will. It's on the list. We'll
But
get to it.
what I like about this is it paints the rockers. I did get the upgraded sort of GT, better front end. And then I went a little nuts just to be weird. I have blue seat belts, orange stitching, and the key is you don't get the full leather because you do get this very unique kind of subtle plaid that is it's
Very
got
cool. Yeah.
yeah, and it's what I like is it's unique to the just to the Carrera T, that particular plaid. 18-way adapted, 18-way seats you got to do, PDLS,
Back seats or no back seats?
absolutely back seats.
I
You
agree.
got because here's the thing is the number of calls I get for people who want a GT3 who want to take their kids, and the irony is they never do. But it's just sort of like I need a four-wheel drive car because I go to the snow once in a while, which is never. Um, the biggest disappointment was there was steering plus power steering plus front axle lift. The only cool design thing I liked, I don't know if you saw it, Tim, the stopwatch, the sport chrono that no one has ever, I've never known one person that used it or even knew how to use it. you get now you can order a Porsche design clock. So now it's
Oh.
actually just a clock by Porsche Design.
I
Um,
ordered a lot of those back in the day.
the
Is it
Porsche
just like
Design clock.
like a watch face,
Yeah,
basically? A Porsche says
Looks like a
Porsche design
watch
on it?
face.
Oh.
yeah.
It's pretty attractive to be honest.
It's subtle, attractive, but I think the best part about the interior is the wood-ish shift knob. And I mean, the hard part is like I picture this guy coming to me in 5 years to sell the car, and the $79,000 of options. Most people would care less. All they're going to care about is does it have carbon buckets? Does it have no sunroof and a manual? I think that's it.
Who
And
And
here?
I will, yeah.
Go ahead.
I like, so we were talking about, I was talking about manual 7 speeds, and I don't want to upset people that have manual 7 speed 992s because if that's what you like, awesome. That's not my goal. But the 991 Carrera T, the first one, that was one of my favorite stick shifts of that whole platform because the it had a reduced final drive and it also had a different shifter in it. That felt really good. So if you are looking for better shifter feel, put that shifter in your 991
Isn't
for
that
sure.
isn't the new car doesn't it have the actual shift mechanism from a GT3? I'm pretty sure it
I
does.
mean, it's a 6 speed. I have no idea if it's the same or not.
I,
I mean,
But they put a 6 speed in the new one. They
I
got
think
rid of that last gear.
the actual thing that goes on top of the transmission, the gear selector thing, I'm pretty sure it's the same as the GT3.
I mean, why wouldn't they? Why would they create something new? Because the 911T is supposed to be, ironically, a budget sport, like GT3 Lite. I felt like it
Would
was.
you guys, I mean, so in the world of, there's always the next thing. If you had a car like what Paul spec'd or my vastly superior options of what I spec, if you, I mean, those seem to me like those are pretty much the perfect 911s. And you don't have to go 350, 400 grand, 650,000. What's the difference between Paul's car there and a 911 ST? Is it really that much? No.
And yeah, I think all it's going to do is just the Porsche nerds are going to differentiate. Tim, I am willing to acquiesce and share the winning trophy that we both chose the right car.
All right. And
Guess
I'll
what,
mail,
guys? I'm
and
going to send you both a full Throttle Talk sticker as well. So you're
Sweet.
both winners.
you guys are finally getting in the groove of doing some promotion, but you all suck compared to what Casey did. He absolutely nailed it. All right, so I think that was fun. All right, let's go on to the next segment. Building your perfect three Porsche car collection. I had a lot of fun at this one. All you, I'd put in rules to keep you guys under the guardrails. All you have to do, they all have to be road cars, all have to be driven regularly. I knew Casey was going to come up with some sort of crazy ass they made three race cars from the 60s to totally top trump us. So I had to put in a bunch of extra rules. No garage display cars, only, driver cars, has to be three cars, maximum budget of $1 million all in, which is a lot of money. And these cars have to be have a proven track record of at least holding their value. All right. So Casey, you go first.
I did 4 cars just to start because I'm that guy.
Yeah, you are.
So car number
Thanks,
one,
Matt.
we'll start oldest to newest. Interesting color MFI Carrera. So pick your poison. The first one behind me, that's ice green. You could do arrow blue, or I've got an aubergine one somewhere, but that the pictures are really bad. Up there it is. I would probably do arrow blue or ice green because ice green's super rad. So that'd be car number one. Car number two would be the most boring 911R you could find just to make it cheap. So somewhere around 450 grand. I figured somewhere around 275 for a really nice MFI car. Car number three, really easy, 964 RS, a maritime blue. Hard to beat that. And that leaves me with about 75 grand left over. So the last Porsche that I would pick is a Polar Silver Audi RS2.
Rule
Yeah.
breaker.
And that's about a million
Fantasy always
bucks.
breaking those rules,
I
man. Always
know he
breaking those
always does.
rules.
Well, but those
Yep,
are really awesome choices too. You know, Casey,
they are.
I had the 964 RS on my list and I took it off. But I totally agree with your choices. That would be an ultimate three-car garage. But just going back, you didn't have anything new or newer. Why not?
911R. I was gonna
Well,
do it was between I needed a car that was really usable, and a 911R is significantly more usable than a 997 3.8 RS. It's the inputs are a lot lighter for a guy
100%.
like it's a lot easier to drive. Or I would have gone a second gen 3.8 liter RS.
All right, Dave, good luck. That was really
All
freaking
right.
good.
I'm going through the history of Porsche and taking a few spots along the way and sticking a flag in and going, okay,
Thank you.
let's take a little piece of everything. So this first car is a 57 a 911, excuse me, 356 Speedster, fully restored. Well, I think this particular car might be somewhere in your backyard as well. European Collectibles has got this car. And this one's fully restored. It's in the 300-ish range. So all of mine are kind of equally priced, not particularly practical, the kind of car you're not taking out for long-term drives. Beautiful, simple interior in gorgeous red. I mean, this particular interior with this color combination, I think is just gorgeous.
Everyone's
Very
going to
simple.
ask you, is it real?
Oh yeah, they will, but I'll proudly say yes, or I'll make a license plate that says it's real somehow or something like that for the back of it. Um, but you're right. I mean, again, this car, you know, in that $300,000 range, that's kind of where this drops. That's car number one.
Which is
Also
amazing, by
similar.
the way. It's worth
Yeah.
it definitely is absolutely freaking amazing. Those cars have halved in value in what the last 10 years. Extraordinary.
Yeah, a great 58. I mean, there's at our location one of the very last 58 Speedsters built, and I feel like it traded hands in that 2014, 15 era. I feel like it traded hands at like 700.
Yeah, and Paul and David's choice of the black with red, if that's the original colors, well, even if it isn't. But wow, good choice. Sorry, go ahead, sir.
Good car as well. We've got a 58 Speedster here in one of our pods out back that we're going to start restoring for a guy, a NASCAR guy, after the first of the year. So we'll have some photos of that exclusively in our content on fullthrottletalk.com, of course.
Commitment for an
So,
article.
Dave,
Love it.
if I sign up, do I get a sticker?
yes, you will get a sticker for sure.
Awesome.
I will definitely
Awesome.
give you one. So, second car, 80, excuse me, 95 993 Turbo WLS2 performance upgrade, 450 horsepower. There's not a lot of cars I like with aftermarket style wheels, but a 993 with this particular setup, I think is an extremely handsome car. This one is a blue with a gray interior. Not, again, nothing extraordinary here on the interior. Let me see if I can show that. There we go. You know, the
Sportsy.
sport buckets, the hardbacks, which are obviously highly sought after. This was a pretty sweet car though, and I think this is probably kind of epitome of technology and build here for Porsche during this period of time. The BBS wheels, just you know, this was a car delivered in Switzerland. Great car. Also, again, in that 300,000. I think I really ran up to about $1 million total on my particular builds. And then how could I not pick? Hang on a second, I got to find my picture
Yeah,
because
but
I've used this
your
picture
last
so
choice. I'm
often.
going to challenge you on that one. Go ahead.
Well, but but then this is my last choice, of course, because I own it. I bought it. Well, I'll technically own it in a day or two, but
You go
how
out
can
there
I
and try to
not have
find.
this?
Okay, it's 2025 GT3 RS, but you can't buy one of those like you did at MSRP.
I did. So what the hell? I mean,
You're pulling a
discount
Casey.
something else.
Yes. Altering
I
the
mean, I
rules to
played by the
fit.
rules. I bought three cars for $1 million.
Oh,
This
see,
was one of them.
this is the reason I need to even keep the guardrails even tighter. Those are awesome, though, honestly. So, Dave,
You
if you
didn't
could
like
only
my middle choice, though. Why didn't you like the middle choice?
No, I did. It's on my list, by the way. I love it. I loved all your choices. These are brilliant. And I can see having all three of those cars. And I love the fact that every one of these is a really unique experience.
Yep.
That's in Casey did the same thing. And that's a really cool thing with these Porsche sports cars is you really can have really truly, even in the 911 family, they're all very different. Did you guys hear Seinfeld on Spikes yesterday talking about how he thinks the 74, Paul, what was it? The 74
Just 74.
30
Well, he has a
30 RS.
74. Yeah, 74 3-liter RS, which, by the way, Casey, what did they make? Like 50 of those? Or those
Oh, I see. So it's
RSRs?
Yeah,
unobtainium.
he bought the white collection car.
But but
Ah.
but
Yeah.
basically the 70, he's talking about the 74, which I mean, Euro Carrera, like Casey picked, great. US Carrera, by the way, we're getting a 74 US Carrera next week, black on gold. I'm interested in driving it. I think they're really he's talking about the 74 to 77 era cars are
With the three
overlooked right
liter,
now.
right? That's
Well,
what that,
He's talking about
he
the
was
3-liter.
yeah,
yeah, he was talking about a straight like a real 3 liter RS, like
right.
a big boy car, like a $2
Unobtainable.
million. Yeah, it's I
Yeah.
mean they made 50 of them.
But I heard
Yeah.
Magnus say the same thing. Magnus said this years ago. He said driving between a 73 RS and that 74 3 liter is night and day. But how does the 3 liter compare to, which is unobtainium based on what you guys just told me? How would a 3 liter drive compare to a Euro 2.7 and a 74 RS?
Well, I mean, the only three
I've
that I've
never
driven
driven
is the
one.
Carrera 3.0 in 76, 77, which is basically the non-intercooled turbo motor without the turbo. That's what the later Carrera 3.0. I've
Uh,
driven those. Those are those are more streetable. They got low end torque. They're not as the 74 Euro Carrera is basically an RS in a better chassis, 73 RS with a better chassis. Those are like zippy fun. A Carrera 3.0 is something that I think is a little more GT. You could do everything. What Jerry was talking about was the homologated race car, which is
Yeah.
unobtainable. But
There
if
there's a really great article in Triple Zero. It was like maybe a month or two ago, or sorry, 1 or 2 issues ago, where they did a story on that, and then they also did a story on the SCRS and did comparisons between the two cars because the SCRS they needed the response, so they put MFI in the car, which was kind of old technology, but they needed that zip that quickly. It was a really interesting, and I think at the end of it, I mean, they're both $2 million cars, right? It's things that I will never drive, but there was a really good comparison. So if you are a subscriber to that, check out that article.
and
But yeah,
Casey, don't discount yourself saying you'll never drive it. That's not true. You'll probably
I
own
mean,
one. This newsletter is
no,
going to be we're going to all become billionaires from this. Full Throttle Talk is going to become an international brand. We're going to come out with our own vodka. Come on, man, think big.
oh
I'll sign
boy.
up for that.
yeah,
We should all start drinking. That would really change. It's at night. There's cigars. I mean, why not? All right, so I'll go next. I agree with David. 993 Turbo, and I'm not that particular about, frankly, variants. I'm not as familiar as David is, obviously, but that's 230 to 280. And I did some homework on that to make sure I was right. Do you have that for sale right now, Paul? No, you sold that this
no,
year.
I sold that twice, and last time was last about a year ago.
Okay.
Uh,
Am I right on the pricing? I
yeah,
only
that was
use
a high
classic.
mileage one. It went for 180 because it had 80,000 miles, but we did sell a silver 40,000 mile one last year for 245. So yeah, yeah, depending on color, miles, I would say anywhere between low twos and high twos will get you a, a 993 turbo.
Which
Is
is
that
fantastic.
metallic black
I know.
or
No, this
slate?
is this is metallic black, but it had like a brown root beer, and it
Yeah.
had real roof wheels, real roof bumpers, which funny, ironically, and it was ordered with the Turbo S wing, and I would say all those things detracted from the price.
Bummer.
They hurt the
Really?
bike.
Factory, Paul? Those things, it came
No,
from
no, no. So the car was ordered with a Turbo S wing factory,
ah,
but the rest of the stuff were real roof parts put on. I think the front bumper was put on in the 2008. The rear bumper was put on in 2012, and the wheels were put on 2022. But they were all purchased from Roof. But yeah, that car had 85,000 miles, rebuilt motor, and I think it sold last August for 190,000. And I
Seems
would
cheap.
say it was cheap because of the odometer, and on Carfax because he put the bumpers on, took it to a body shop and paid them to paint the bumpers, match it, and put it on. It showed the body shop was connected to Carfax, and it showed it as two minor damages,
so
which
let
is
me ask you a question about that.
in the
So
difference.
can we all agree to avoid Carfax if you're having any work done to your car? I mean, I don't really see any
Well,
advantage because
no, what I do tell people is first go to a shop and find out, ask them, are they connected to Carfax?
yep.
If they are, when you sign that thing at the bottom, it's a privacy thing. You can basically request that it's not reported. Now, I don't trust them. Also, what happens is if a shop doesn't connect it, and let's say 5 years later they do get connected, they could just data dump. And I've seen stuff where, for example, this 993 Turbo, we sold it in 2020 and the Carfax didn't show anything. We sold it again last year, and the Carfax showed two incidents from 15 years ago
The
because
problem is Carfax won't remove bad information. I've
they
had cars.
you have to have they will like we had a client with a 993. He put a new windshield in and it showed up as minor damage. He showed them the receipt and they did get it removed. But Tim, you're right. It is a
It's a
battle. I
process.
freaking
Yeah.
hate
It's not,
Carfax.
but it's ridiculous though. The fact is that you have to essentially fight with it's, yeah, anyway. I don't
Yeah.
like, yeah.
We can
All right.
talk a whole thing and shit on him because I hate him.
Yeah. Well, there you go. David was wagging your head. David, are you pro Carfax or anti
Oh,
Carfax?
totally anti. We were connected with some software that we had for a while, and I killed it.
Yeah.
I don't like it. I think it's terrible. I think the information is never accurate. Um, how many people have gotten screwed with mileage discrepancies
Yep.
because somebody at a DMV did the wrong, they entered
Exactly.
the mileage
And
wrong and stuff
and
like
the thing
that.
that pisses me off is Carfax, if there's a mileage discrepancy, Carfax calls it branded.
Right.
That is
Right,
not branded. California
right.
branded titles, lemon law, buyback, or salvage. That's it. So now I've got to fight something. And my saying is if Carfax went all the way back to the 50s, I think 80% of the cars that got restored would have never got restored because you're going to go restore a 67S. If it's got a Carfax of accident damage, why would you bother with that car?
My other two cars were, I'll go quick. So, because Paul is chomping at the bit to talk about 67Ss, which I also have passion for. A 2010, 2011 Porsche 911 997 2 GT3 RS 3.8 manual. Now, this is becoming a very interesting car. Thank you for putting up a picture for me, Paul. Uh,
Car I sold.
that looks identical to the one I actually had. The fact that we sold ours for 185, and
Oh,
I know, I know,
oh.
I know, I know. Oh, you want me to make it even more fun? It was part of the transaction where I bought the Aventador.
Ooh. Yeah, these are lemon buying moments. So we sold this car in 2022, one owner, 6,000 miles, the gray with the red, tourist delivery, perfect condition. How much do you think we sold it for in 2022?
No idea.
310,000. And I would say today that car is now 400, getting closer to 400. I
It
don't
is
know.
but that is a very, very specific experience driving those cars. That one in particular, the one we had, it became an A car because it was freaking brutal. And I'm not afraid
Yeah.
of hard cars, but driving around in Texas, the roads are not that great. It was back torture, lower back torture every time.
And by the way, this was one of the few cars where the customer, when he dropped it off, and he specifically said no test drives.
Yeah.
And I drove it around. I said I got to drive it like a block. I drove it around the block, got to third gear, and that was it.
Yeah.
So
Now you do put an interest muffler delete on that thing, and it sounds unbelievably cool. And the last car I also had before, which I also regret selling, a 2018 Porsche. This is like Tim's regrets podcast. A 2018 Porsche 911 GT3 Touring manual. I wish I would have kept ours. Ours was the two that maybe it was a two no, it was a 2018. And those cars are 210. Thank you, Paul, again. 210 to 250. I love that car. I'm probably going to get another one. It was just about the perfect car. The only reason I wouldn't get another one is because our daughter is not tall and she could fit comfortably in the back of one of those things. And so I wouldn't retrofit rear seats, but it's the only thing would keep me from buying one of those. Because all of our other fun cars are two-seaters. So
so
in any event, those are my three cars.
just really
And
quick, just to give you pain on yesterday's value. This is the first Carrera T we sold. It was an 18 stripper model. I think it was a 165 MSRP. It had nothing on it. It had 1,100 miles. We sold it in 19. How much do you think we sold it for? And 1,100 miles, by the way, in 19 was considered high. Most of them were under 1,000 miles.
you guys guess. I'll guess wrong.
I'm going to try.
19, 1,100 miles, base strip, no carbon buckets. Just
170.
okay. Dave,
No guess. No
I
guess.
guess. Tim,
No guess.
I honestly don't know.
we sold it for MSRP 165.
So when researching these topics for you guys this week, I really spent a lot of time trying to kind of be a contrarian because it's fun. That's the reason I bring up Corvettes all the time. And I could not find, like, the more I get into the whole Porsche world, which I've been in all my life, but the more I go down the rabbit hole, the fewer excuses or the fewer rationalizations I have for ever being able to think of even buying anything other than 911, which is insane because I'm always looking for something else. So there's got to be a different flavor, but there truly isn't because the Porsche just nailed it with that
Yeah.
car. All right, Paul, you are next. Let's hear
Yep.
your ultimate three-car garage, maximum budget of $1 million.
I took it to heart what you said, and this is what I actually do with my own personal garage. I want everything to be able to go on a rally. Everything has to go on a rally. When I say rally, a touring event where you do 1,000 miles of back roads, the car's in the rain, you may have to go through some water. It's just, you're going to drive the piss out of the car. You're going to get rock chips. First one is I tried to sell this car. We might get it back. I adore this car. The market doesn't. It's a 1967 S soft window Targa. Tim, how many do they make?
Oh,
100,
shit. Yeah.
150?
I'm remembering like 330, but I could be wrong.
And so, what I love about this car is one owner car, Northern California. He got it as a college graduation present from his mother or grandmother. And he drove it everywhere. He went camping with it. That's him. That's him in the background up there with his now wife. And it's probably got 300,000 miles. He's gotten in three different accidents. He had to replace a fender. We tried to sell it 2 years ago. Engines rebuilt, numbers matching transmission. I put 300 miles on this car. I love driving it. The roof on, soft window down. That motor, that 2 liter high revving motor, Tim, it's the soft window Targa is like the modern, the 991.2 Speedster.
It's so
2 V8
raspy.
motor.
It's
So
a bit,
raspy.
yeah, it sounds alive. I mean, it really does. It sounds like a
It
pissed
sounds
off
like
dog.
it's like you see old videos of Le Mans racing movies from the 60s and the 911s going by sounds like that. That car we tried to sell, I told him it was too much for 280. If we get it back, it's probably a $200,000 car. And the
Incredible.
sad and the sad reason is it's not a collector grade because it needs to be restored and enthusiasts don't care. It's really kind of this ugly middle, but that's the kind of cars I love. I would take this on a vintage rally and drive the snot out of it, and it really wouldn't matter. If I was maybe a little tired, didn't want to go experience a 67S. Boom, I'm gonna go to one of my favorite cars. I've preached about it. This is a roof BTR. Let's see, where does my notes on it? It is an 85 roof BTR 3, dark blue over blue leather, sports seats. It's sold at RM in Scottsdale for 445,000. So here's the difference: is there's roof VIN cars where it starts off as a roof car, or like this case, someone bought a 930, sent it to Roof, kind of like they did with Alpina, and Roof did the whole build, and they're sending those back. So it's a Porsche VIN with a full roof build that, today refurbishment is three to $400,000. But this car has air conditioning. It has probably 400 horsepower. This would be a little more comfort edition. Or like on this current rally, my friend's 930 was broken, so he took a Dakar. I would drive the snot out of this. This is a 23 Dakar in shade green. This one had under 500 miles, sold for 324,000, I think, on Bring a Trailer. The only thing it has that I hate is the carbon buckets. But yeah, those are my three cars. That comes out to just about $1 million.
Any
And I
questions or
would,
comments, guys?
Good
I should have
choices.
picked I should have picked a 356. I should have picked a Speedster. I think Dave really knocked the nail on the head because that is such a cool. I've only driven a Speedster a very short distance. I have a lot of seat time in a 60B Roadster, but Speedsters are really awesome.
have you driven one of these, Casey?
I've never driven a 911 older than I've only the oldest 911. This is going to sound bad. The oldest 911 I've ever driven is a 73 RS.
I mean, that is a bit bougie, but if you drove a 2 liter short wheelbase 911,
Yeah,
the
I've got a
356 would
yeah.
just disappear from your thought.
No,
Right,
I've got
Tim?
a client with the 67 Daytona winning 911. It's a 65. He probably let me drive that. So
Right.
I'll have to check that box.
Drive it and check back with us. So Dave's got
Yep.
to take his GT3 RS to a track day before he can take it to Cars and Coffee. You need to drive a short wheelbase 2 liter.
So I have a question for you guys. And Casey and I were talking about this. There's a BTR, I don't know, let's call it a client build BTR versus a roof build. I don't know the market. I'm surprised, honestly, that car, which looks spectacular, sold for 40, 45. And I'm thinking about Casey's 2016 911R versus this BTR. I'm not sure which I would choose if I was willing to spend 450 grand. I want to ask you guys that question. And second of all, what's the price difference between a roof built BTR with a roof VIN and a customer built by roof BTR? What's the price
It's
difference?
50%.
50%.
I
Holy
think if
crap.
this was an actual roof build and it was built as a BTR from Roof with their VIN instead of 450, I think it would have been 650 to
700.
700.
Seriously, that's extraordinary. And what's effectively what's the difference? I mean, at the end of the
Different
day,
VIN, different VIN. That's it.
shit, that's amazing. So what would you guys choose? That Paul's BTR or Casey's 911 2016 911R?
Hmm.
I mean, I know what Paul would pick. I like naturally aspirated engines and the R is super special. I've talked about it before. There's a lot more than when you look at it on paper, it's not that interesting, but driving the car is awesome. The what they did to make that car work is really great. And there's not a lot of other cars that compare to it. And I never thought that when I sold Porsches new, because we never got one. They all went to 918 buyers. But now that I drive one routinely, it's really special.
That's awesome. David, what do you think?
I'd probably go with Casey's car there. I mean, and I only say that purely from the standpoint of, being practical, reliability, and having to tinker turbos, those kinds of things. Come on, Paul, don't shake your head at me, man. Come on
No,
now.
no,
That's
see, here's the thing I like about the BTRs and even the 930s. I call them thinking man's Porsches. They test drive like shit.
Hold on.
If
You just said David and Casey aren't thinking. They're not thinking men. So I
Yes,
appreciate that.
these are the 911R is lovely, and I did choose it on the next thing, but the problem is the 911R is too easy. You're going to drive a BTR or a 930 for 6 months, and you're going to regret that buying decision until one day you freaking figure it out and you go, this isn't a 911. This is a whole different thing. And when you learn to drive it, and this is out of personal experience, it is like hitting a hole in one in golf, sucking at golf
You
and
can't
hitting a
just say
hole.
that. So you can't just say that. So when you're saying that versus a 930 turbo, something equivalent, tell me what the difference is. Tell me why you're so unique.
I mean, the BTR versus the 930 turbo.
Yes, sir.
It just turns it from 10 to 11. It takes all the 930 part. It doesn't make the car less turbo lag. It doesn't make it less of a widowmaker. It makes it more of everything. And more of everything in a 930 to me is just awesome. And it's just excessive. And it's so Roof. Roof loves to just take what Porsche dialed to a 7 and turn it to 11 and just scare the crap out of you. And I going back to Jerry Seinfeld's, I think what he really sold it for is that car scared made him poo his pants. Ultimately, it is a scare. They when you talk to Alois Roof, he loves to build scary ass cars. And I think if you have a near death experience in your car, it makes it more interesting.
I'll give you that.
That's a
It
nice
makes it
way of
more
saying it.
memorable, that's for sure.
Yeah, near death, you remember that. That's a
Yeah, you
high
do
point in the
remember
day.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I would choose personally. I would choose your BTR for sure, and the reason why is that it would be more of a unique driving experience than the 911R. Though I adore the 911R, but I would definitely choose the older car. That I also have other. If it were my only special car, and it were this, and say Casey's RS2 there, I would probably choose the 2016 911R. But if I had multiple special cars, I would choose your BTR. That would be how my mind wires it all together.
Yep.
All right, cool. All right, you guys ready to move on? Are you
Yep.
everyone keeping their stamina?
Yeah, let's do this or that.
All right, let's do this or that. All right, Paul, since you're on a roll, you can go next.
All right. This or that. I chose, let me pull up
And,
I
and
have
just for
here.
the record, their goal was to keep the show at 90 minutes today, and
I know
so
we
I
screwed
think
up.
I
Yeah,
think
I'm
we just need.
struggling right now. We're
This
gonna
is
be
All right.
quick this or
So,
that.
so really quick, I
Okay,
have
quick
this was
to that.
crazy. I think these cars are undervalued until this car popped up, a 2008 GT2, 1,400 miles. They made only 194 of these for the US market. They have sat kind of unloved. This one sold for 495,000. So after fees, it sold for $500,000 plus. I think what made it sell for that much is, believe it or not, red's a unique color. Casey can attest this. Most of them were freaking black. I have a close friend named Will in Texas. He got an allocation from Brumos. He's like, "What should I order?" I'm like, Gulf blue, Gulf orange. No one's going to order that. And he ordered black, and I was about to kill him. He still has the car. But anyway, when you put miles on it, track it, it just drops his car down to half the value. That is one car. The other car I chose, Casey, I am a lover of this car, is the 911R. This car sold on Bring a Trailer recently for $487,000. It's a 16 911R, 4,500 miles. I think it kept it under 500,000, and it was only that price because it had the dual clutch, which I think is the stupidest metric when you can go add a single mass flywheel, right? Am I not wrong? Can you put
So we have a listener that reached out to me about the dual mass flywheel, and apparently there is a lot more to it than just doing a dual mass flywheel. It also has to do with programming and other things.
But here, to me, the irony of all that is I bet you if you put most people who own 911Rs in one with a dual mass and one with a single mass, they probably aren't going to drive it to a point that they're going to notice the difference or be good enough at shifting that it's going to matter. But it does swing the value probably 25 grand. I'll take the cheaper way. I love the original BP look, which people think was green. It was actually red. And the only thing I don't like about I love the gauges. The only thing I don't like about it is the carbon torture seats. I would take, although these are cool with Pepita, I would take the 18 way, couches,
The
baby.
single mass flywheel, when you're at a stoplight and starts to make that crazy ass noise, and everyone's looking at you, that's kind of a fun experience too. Just for the record.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there you go. All right, so what do you guys think? Which would you so Paul, which would you choose? Or are you leaving it up to us?
Uh, Me personally, the turbo. I mean, I hate a 1,400-mile car because I'll feel guilty. I'm going to literally drive the value out of that car. But I think you show up to a Cars and Coffee. I think this is maybe a little blasé. You show up to this. When was the last time you saw a I mean,
Never.
this is the last GT2 Metzger manual. I mean, the last GT2 with a manual. Period. GT2, and actually, are there any GT2s? They just went to
The
GT2
the
RS,
the,
right?
the 2RS, yeah.
So to me, I I've seen one on the road. He comes to Newcomb's, and God love him, it's a red one, and he drives the shit out of it. But other than that, I never see these anymore.
David, what would you choose between Paul's two options?
I would definitely take the red car, the
GT2.
GT2. Yep.
Casey, how
I
about
mean,
you?
a great car.
I hate this as the 997 guy. I'd hate to say that I'd take the 911R, but I've got a lot of seat time and we sold a GT2 when it was new, and it's surprising to me that that car got that much money and it has the wrong seats in it because the seats literally started in the GT2. And I drive GT2 RSs a lot, and they're really scary. Like, don't put your foot the whole way in it, scary. So I'd probably pick the R.
That's interesting. So those do the you got me thinking now. Do the 997 GT2 RSs do they not have like traction control and whatnot? Are they like the GT3 996s?
It's two stage. It's got stability management and traction control. It's just that as far as an internal combustion engine car, um, being able to control that volume of speed with a manual transmission is pretty daunting.
Yeah.
Like if you just put it in third or second and mash it, I mean, like if the tires are cold, they'll break loose in third
Yeah.
gear.
I mean,
Like it's a really, really, really fast car.
You just
if I
helped me
had a
change my choice. I'm going to go with the 2016 911R. Casey
Well,
just
here's the thing is if I had a choice between this and instead of this, it was a 997.2 GT2 RS manual, I would choose the 911R2 because I think that car is like a C7 ZR1 Corvette, like undrivable, like to the point where it's not even scary. It just becomes undrivable. Whereas I think the GT2, kind of like the BTR, is drivable, but you got to learn how to drive it. That's the key. I love cars that are going to force you to think and figure it out, and it's just not going to be super easy.
All right. So next up is our resident thinking man, Casey. What are your choices?
All right. So I did the opposite because I saw what everybody else was picking this week. Car number one is I've been on this kick of old Volkswagens recently, and I always old Volkswagens and old cars actually have three this, that, or that. So car number one is a Volkswagen Lupo. I'm trying to think of things that you could show up to in a Radwood, and everybody would just stop and be like, "Wait a minute, what is that?" So car number one is a Lupo. It still has a day left. It's probably going to sell for about 5 grand, $5,500. Car number two closes today. This is a Mark III Golf with like 9,000 miles on it, and it's straight poverty spec out of, I think, Germany. It doesn't even have air conditioning, but the seats are super rad.
Look, it's
And
got
then
roll up. It's got roll up windows, and are those like 10-inch wheels? What the
Is
hell
that
are those?
they're probably 13s or 14s if I had to bet.
Is
Actually, they're
that
probably
stateside?
13s.
Is that in the
It's
US?
it's it's on Cars and Bids.
Somebody
Yeah,
freaking
so
brought that to the United States.
both of these cars are on Cars and Bids
They
right now,
they
and I
spent
stuck.
more on the drive on drive off shipping than it did for the car.
That's
And
incredible.
then so that car, the Golf is, I think it's at $5,700. So this is probably gonna be a
Wow.
$7,000 or $8,000 car. And then one of my favorite cars that I love anytime I go to Europe, I love Renault Clios. It's just such a cool car, and it reminds me of playing Gran Turismo when I was a kid. So this car it's a right-hand drive UK market example. It sold for $3,500. So those are your options. You've got a Lupo, which is probably 8 grand. You've got a Golf, which is probably 9 grand, or you've got a Renault Clio. And I hate to really bring
Is the
everybody
Renault
down.
is the Renault here in the US?
This car sold for, it was a no reserve car that sold on Cars and Bids for $3,400 in June.
What do you do with that thing though? Who's going to fix that thing?
Oh, I don't know. You just throw it away, man. It's $3,400.
That's
It's
your problem,
disposable.
son.
Disposable. You
Yeah,
just
man.
leave it by the side of the
It's
road.
like, well, those little instant cameras, one use only.
Yeah, it's like you just leave it somewhere.
So Casey, what would you choose since these are your three choices?
I'm a Mark III guy, so this 10,000 mile Mark III Golf I think is awesome, even though it's like it's super cool. And honestly, if you rock that thing into a Radwood, I guarantee you would win some award.
You got to
And
come
it's
in and you got
cheap.
to hot box it. That's what
Yeah,
you got to do.
cheap thrills for cheap thrills, and I think it'll always be worth that. And I love Mark III Volkswagens. It's a really great car. So
And a
that's what I
German
would pick.
built one too. Didn't they build the US based ones? I think they built those in Mexico or
They're
Pennsylvania.
Mexico.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, and these are both of the Volkswagens I picked were both German built.
David, what would you choose of his three
I just
options?
like the strippiness of the Mark III. I just think that that is the
Totally.
coolest part of that. If you switch back to the interior picture there, Casey, I just
It's all
love that.
the
It's
pattern seats are
the
awesome.
simplicity of that and the just nothingness of it. But at that price, come on, that's a sweet car.
It's
That's a
like
cool little car. I
public
pick that.
transport fabric. It's great.
Yep.
I picked the Renault because did you have an interior shot? Because you got to the
I
Renaults
don't,
probably do
unfortunately. I'm
everything.
sorry.
I wouldn't be surprised if the clutch is on the right, the gas pedals on the left. I mean, the Renaults
Probably.
are going to, yeah, the instrument clusters in the back seat, they'll do something funky.
That rear window, like the rear side window, I always just found so attractive. It's just such an interesting car.
Yeah,
That
I'll
is a
take
cool
the
looking
Renault
car.
because
Yeah.
I show up with that, and that is just going to be no one. You win any cars and coffee. Pull that right next
100%.
to a Veyron, boom, park it.
Yep.
Who's
Yeah, it
gonna
would
help?
get my attention.
Who's gonna help me with my pictures? One of you guys got to help me. I'll,
I
I'll go
got
real.
it.
I'll go relatively
I
quick.
got that thing.
There
All
you
right.
go.
Okay. So I said we are going to bring this up later. All right. So we have a choice between a Singer design study. It's the one
The
with the
Williams.
Williams motor and just absolutely a pinnacle car for sure. And versus a 2015 Porsche 918 Spider. I was honestly surprised to see that both of these sold for roughly the same money. And I'm like, what would I choose? I would choose the 918. But to Singer's credit, the very fact that people are paying $2.5 million for their cars, where people are going to say, well, it's because the guy buying a, $2.5 million Singer is going to also have a 918 in his garage. And it's probably true. But considering where the market is right now going forward, you're spending that much money. You have to think about what the long-term return on your investment is going to be, air quoting investment. I'm going to put my money on the 918. Paul, you get to go first since you have a sarcastic look on your face, or do you just need to go to the bathroom?
Well, both.
Both?
That's my face right
I
now.
I probably I like the 918, but I'm a 911 guy. If this was a regular, if because it's the Williams Singer, which is really cool and interesting motor, I would pick this. If it was just the regular Singer, whatever, I would pick the 918. So I'm picking the Singer.
So is the Williams motor a bespoke motor similar to our friend's flat eight motor? All right.
Yeah.
So if that car is worth that much more because it's got that special Williams motor in it, I really wonder if that flat eight motor we were talking about earlier, it's going to make its way to some really cool air cooled generation 911s and be the next thing. So, hopefully that happens. So what do you think, David, if you had
Absolutely.
to choose between the two?
I probably lean like Paul, and meaning the 918 is certainly an epic car. And when you look at it and study it closely, it's just got a lot of like extremely interesting characteristics and so on. I mean, and it will certainly carry its weight as a collectible into the future for sure. But there's something in particular about that color combination on that DSL on that particular car. I really find that car appealing. I would go with the Singer.
It's because it's reminding you of Albert. That's why.
It could be. Maybe it is.
Yeah.
I like the color. I just like everything about it. It's a great looking car. It's certainly also a car. I don't know that it does as well long term in terms of an investment grade car as the Spider,
918.
but
Yep.
yeah. But
What do you think, Casey?
I like that car.
918, no question.
Yeah, even though it has aftermarket wheels. I mean, put the
Yes,
factory
even
wheels
though
back on it.
I don't even think anybody, I watched that auction. I don't even think anybody pointed out that it
They
had
didn't.
aftermarket wheels on it.
I learned
And
that it had aftermarket wheels on it from you on our previous
yeah,
podcast.
I wasn't even gonna, yeah. So I love blue. I've got experience in, on the Matt Farah podcast. They were talking about Meredith, where he's going to drive the car. I've got experience with Meredith as well. which is one of the, and actually a little nerdy fact, if somebody will correct me if I'm wrong, but on those prototype 918s, all the numbers on them are 000,
We need to tell them what
000, and
Meredith
that's
is.
where
Casey.
yeah. So Meredith, their Porsche Cars North America had two prototype 918s, and when I went to the dealer launch at Road Atlanta, where I went 175 in the rain, I drove the silver one. Meredith was on static display to teach us how the inside of the car worked, but Meredith was a dark blue metallic or midnight blue metallic, similar to the one is behind Paul right now. So I have a soft spot in my heart for dark blue 918s. I think the color does super well on that car, and even though I'm scared to drive it because they're $2.5 million plus cars now, I feel the same way about the Singer, but I would certainly like looking at the 918 more. They just absolutely look like spaceships.
Yeah, I agree. And they're aging well too. They're beautiful cars.
Very, very, very well.
Do you
Still have
guys
future value too.
are
For
we going to
sure.
hold the line for listener questions?
Hold it.
I still got my options
Did
here.
Dave? I
haven't
think
Oh,
done
Dave
sorry,
still
sorry,
got
David.
his. Maybe we can do listener questions next week.
We'll
I
start
think
out with
we're-
listener questions next week. How about that? We start out. So let's
enough.
submit your questions, and we're trying to beat the Joe Rogan podcast in terms of actual time spending talking about cars. You know, we're breaking all rules. But remember, subscribe to the newsletter at fullthrottletalk.com or click the link below. David,
Okay, this is self-serving. It is becoming that time of year again where my wife is deciding that it's time for a new ride for her. And becomes kind of a once a year situation for me. And I am picking two cars that would probably be in contention, although she drives this right now, a 2021 version of this. This is obviously a full size Range Rover with supercharged, of course. And I didn't dig in and get a whole bunch of pictures of this. These cars, obviously, they fall like a rock when they're, from brand new until you drive them, but they are really quite buying a used one of these, buy a 3-year-old one of these. As far as a luxury SUV, this is a tough car to beat. I mean, these are gorgeous, gorgeous cars that are highly well appointed. If you don't keep them too long, they actually aren't terrible in terms of reliability. You get these cars past 75,000 miles, though, and you're about to start to get gigantic bills for airbags or excuse me, the suspension lift, airbags in the suspension and whatnot. But we've had 3 or 4 of these, and they're great cars. I mean, they really are. So this choice. This one sold. I think it was a 23. I think it sold for around $105,000. Okay, now I am this car. Urgh. My least, this is the car that every time this is purely a flex car for her. She's never driven one. She's never probably even sat in one as far as I'm concerned. But for some reason, this car keeps coming up in the conversation and I just don't get it. So maybe one of you guys can help
why do
me here
ladies love those?
understand it.
David, you're
I don't
right.
know. That's
David,
my question.
For those that not, that's
it's
a G-Wagon.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, forgive me. Yes,
Yeah,
thank you.
it's so where Zoe goes to school, our daughter goes to school. Julie drives her Alfa Romeo Giulia every day, and she's got this green one. It's gorgeous, and there are like 10 of those damn things, and they're all driven by these tiny little women, 5'5" and shorter, and they love them. And you never see a guy driving one of those.
No.
I don't get the female appeal to those.
No, it feels like they should have a bedazzled license plate frame. They've got all the little sparkly crap on it, and they've got a bedazzled steering wheel cover. We just sold an 18 or 19, and I drove it for a day. I could not wait to get out of that
It's
car.
so hard riding, and those
It's-
cars were
I
selling.
haven't even driven one of these
And
things.
the and the
So tell
windshield's
me,
like
give
a
me your
VW.
experience.
The windshield's like a 60s VW Bug. It's just this flat
Yep.
glass, like right here in your face. The only thing I do like is the brand new limited edition one in that green color. They made 200. I have a couple clients who bought that, including someone who does store it on our premises, and it's a retro look. That one's kind of cool, but in general, why women like those, I don't know.
David,
Women, all
the
in.
one you're looking at has, I think, the pre-update. So make sure your wife
Yes.
drives the old one versus the new one, because the old one, especially the AMG version, rides harder than hell. You will be shocked. And then you go to the newer one, they've kind of fixed it, but here nor there.
Right, but this is in that also in that $100,000 range, which is why I mean again here
Incredible.
we are. I would probably having had experience here, I have said certainly personally to her, not going to happen, honey. The G-Wagon just does not happen, and so she's probably used to that. I'm sure she's listening to this podcast right now, though. However,
Not after this much time. She's smarter than that. She had other shit to
she
do.
she probably
By the way, the G-Wagon will probably hold its value and be a lot more reliable
100%
too.
better. Yep. I agree 100%. We had one of those exact Range Rovers, by the way, and
Yep.
we got rid of it before the warranty was over because it started every morning. It was a different check engine light such sequence of rainbows of lights. Yeah, we got rid of it. But I agree. So what do you think, Casey, if you had to choose between the Rover and the G-Wagon?
I sold against Range Rovers for a long time and had similar feedback to what you were saying. So if I had to pick between those two, it would be a G-Wagon.
Yep. Paul, what do you think?
I would take the Range Rover because I hate G-Wagons so much.
G-Wagon. I mean, Range Rover is a great driving car.
I
I mean,
do.
if it ain't broken, it's really nice.
And I'm the kind of guy that would buy the 75,000 mile 10-year-old one and just try to go, how bad could it be? And then 5 years after that, I mean, don't forget, I drive a 2003 Jaguar as my daily driver, and I've owned it for 10 years plus.
I would lean in with David. I'd buy the Rover, frankly, and the supercharged one is what I'd probably get.
Yeah.
You know that.
Can't get it otherwise because
Well,
without the supercharged, it's a big, heavy pig.
yeah, well, and not to mention the Rover is actually really freaking comfortable, where the G-Wagon just wants you to die. So there you go. All right, I think we've covered everything except listener questions, which we're going to start out. We did it. It was a marathon session of full throttle talk. I
Oh,
think we should
Jesus.
just. I think we should just give up. Congratulations, guys. I'm going to give you the hack. It's called having a lovely wife that always keeps your coffee cup full. There you go. That's right.
Yeah. Thank you to Tim Silver Porsche's Instagram for the obscenely large coffee cup with the tiniest little crawdad.
Yeah, clearly
Yeah,
he does
Tim
a
and
podcast.
Tim, I picked that RS2 in silver just for you, buddy.
Oh, there you go. All right. So, guys, listen, thank you for listening or watching Full Throttle Talk. We have obviously maybe too much passion for doing the show for you every week. We love your questions. We love your feedback. Do us a favor. Definitely subscribe to the newsletter. I am going to rope these guys into creating Paul, by the way, is a absolutely magical writer. And author and just all these things. So we're going to be writing and creating a lot of special content just for the newsletter. It's going to be something that we will build into a real community. So make sure you subscribe to the newsletter, fullthrottletalk.com, or just click the link below. In the meantime, guys, thank you. Another great Full Throttle Talk. You guys have a fantastic week. And for the rest of you, we have a lot of other past Full Throttle Talks you can listen to over on YouTube. Make sure you like and subscribe. Instagram, same thing. Again, God bless all of you for helping us follow through in our passion of making Full Throttle Talk. Have a great week.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys. See ya.
Thank you.
See ya.